LoveLore Library. Chapter 973. And she woke up yesterday and was discharged from the hospital. Last night, she was with Meng Yin. Yang Ming nodded and said, "Right, there is something I need to tell you in advance." "What is it?" Lin Jiyun asked in confusion. She didn't know why he had to hide it from Chen Mengyan and Zhou Jijia at the door. "This is the case," Yang Ming explained. Yesterday, when Zhou Jijia woke up, Yang Ming told the story that Chen Mengyan fabricated that Zhou Jijia had become his girlfriend. Then, he said, "In a while, you have to pretend that you have known Zhou Jijia for a long time. Don't reveal any flaws." It turned out to be like this. Lin Jiyun suddenly realized after listening. She said, "I know, but I'm afraid that I won't be able to pretend. It doesn't matter if you don't look like it." Most likely, Meng Yan had already told her in advance. Although you two knew each other before, you didn't have many opportunities to contact each other. There shouldn't be any problem, Yang Ming said. "Okay, then I will try my best." Lin Jiyun nodded and said. Yang Ming thought in his heart, "Last night, Chen Mengyan and Zhou Jijia slept together and shut me out. Today, I brought Lin Jiyun back. You three can't sleep together, right? You have to leave one for me, right?" Yang Ming parked the car and entered the villa with Lin Jiyun. However, he saw Chen Mengyan sitting anxiously in front of the TV. Even Zhou Jijia was uneasy. Seeing Yang Ming come in, Chen Mengyan was stunned. She got up and rushed to Yang Ming. "Yang Ming, are you okay?" "I'm back. What can happen?" Yang Ming smiled and said, "What's wrong? Why are you making a fuss?" "The TV news just reported that your jewelry company caught fire. Although the fire has been extinguished, people are still very worried about you." Chen Mengyan hugged Yang Ming and said anxiously. "Oh, it's fine. You see, Jiyun is fine too." Yang Ming smiled and said indifferently. He was afraid that Chen Mengyan would be worried, so he said it casually. Zhou Jijia was also very worried about Yang Ming, but after all, she wasn't as bold as Chen Mengyan, so she just stood at the side and didn't dare to hug Yang Ming, but there was some expectation in her heart. Yang Ming put down Chen Mengyan, then glanced at Zhou Jijia, who was next to him, and said with a smile, "Jijia, are you scared too? Come, I don't mind letting you hug my broad and stalwart body." "Aw." Zhou Jijia blushed and froze there. In her impression, Yang Ming was neither cold nor warm to her. Although the two people became friends later, it was only when there was an occasional misunderstanding. But now, Yang Ming suddenly wanted to hug her, so Zhou Jijia was somewhat uncomfortable. However, Yang Ming didn't wait for Zhou Jijia to speak. He hugged Zhou Jijia and said with a smile, "Don't be afraid. Your husband is fine." Yang Ming had accepted Zhou Jijia from the bottom of his heart, so at this moment, he didn't have so many taboos. He directly hugged Zhou Jijia in his arms. Zhou Jijia only felt that her heart was about to jump out, and her breathing was hot and rapid. This was the first time that Yang Ming was willing to hug her. Of course, it was the first time in her memory. She couldn't remember the memories of her being Yang Ming's girlfriend. However, Zhou Jijia also understood that as long as her mentality was good, what difference did it make which was the first time? If life was like the first time we met, this was the feeling that many lovers envied. Yang Ming was afraid of scaring Yang Ming, so he hugged her and let her go. However, Chen Mengyan looked at Yang Ming with a smile. She seemed to be saying, "You are bullying Jijia because she has amnesia, big pervert." Yang Ming pretended that he didn't understand. He grinned and said, "Jijia, let me introduce you. This is Lin Jiyun. You used to be good sisters." "Hey." Zhou Jijia suddenly froze. Is this the sister Lin that Qin Mengyan mentioned to me yesterday? She is so beautiful with a kind of delicate beauty. Every woman around Yang Ming is so excellent. Hello, I am Lin Jiyun. Please take care of me. Lin Jiyun pursed her lips and reached out to Zhou Jiejia in a friendly manner. Ah. Oh. Zhou Jiejia realized that she was in a daze. She was a little rude, so she said embarrassedly, Jiyun, you are so beautiful. Even I am attracted to you. Being praised by Zhou Jiejia, Lin Jiyun was a little embarrassed. Jiejia, you are also very beautiful. Okay, you two don't praise each other. Whether I am beautiful or not, I have the final say. I now announce that the beauty contest starts now. Yang Ming smiled and said, I will give you half an hour to change into the sexiest clothes. Of course, you can also not wear them. Then, the senior beauty critic Yang Ming, teacher Yang Ming, will judge for you. Lin Jiyun and Zhou Jiejia listened to Yang Ming's nonsense. They suddenly hummed and lowered their heads embarrassedly. Only Qin Mengyan glared and kicked Yang Ming. This guy, do you want to die? How can you come up with such a bad idea? It's just a joke. Yang Ming saw that Qin Mengyan's face was not good, and he suddenly became sober. He scratched his head and said, I just said it casually, in front of the three beauties. It seemed that he was a little carried away. It was harder than reaching the sky to let Qin Mengyan, this little girl with a personality, serve him with other women. However, this difficult job must be realized. The more difficult it is, the more challenging it is. Yang Ming thought in his heart. Yang Ming put away his lascivious smile and replaced it with a righteous look. Mengyan, help Jiyun prepare a room. She will be staying here tonight. What else is there to prepare? Just live with me and Jiejia. Qin Mengyan said with a smile after listening. Live together. Yang Ming suddenly widened his eyes after listening. His expression was even uglier than crying. You don't have to live together. Our bed can't fit so many people. I don't know which bad guy prepared a big bed. Don't mention 3 people, even 4 or 5 people won't be a problem. Qin Mengyan snorted and said, but he really has foresight. Yang Ming secretly regretted it. Why did I prepare this bed so early? It wouldn't be too late to buy a bed after I settled these little girls one by one. A mistake, a mistake. Motherfucker, Jing Lao Lu, that bastard. Why didn't he burn my villa? He could have just burned the bed with a fire. Yang Ming thought resentfully. Serves you right. You deserve to be blown up. Who asked you to burn the wrong place? Sister Lin, you don't have any objections to living with us, right? Qin Mengyan took Lin Jiyun's hand and asked. Of course, I don't have any objections. Lin Jiyun looked at Yang Ming apologetically, but she couldn't refuse Qin Mengyan. Yang Ming pulled her to spend the night outside. Lin Jiyun understood what Yang Ming wanted to do, but now it was obviously impossible. Yang Ming sighed helplessly, but he couldn't show too much of a lecher. He could only think, only men have it the hardest. Sure enough, Qin Mengyan didn't give him any face. She directly pulled Lin Jiyun and Zhou Jiejia upstairs and locked the door. Yang Ming looked at the lock on the door and shook his head helplessly. Although this lock was useless for Yang Ming still didn't open it. In any case, he couldn't deny Qin Mengyan's face. In fact, Yang Ming could also understand Qin Mengyan's thoughts at the moment. This little girl had followed him all the way from high school to now. She finally had a positive result, but he had a few more women around him. No matter who it was, they wouldn't feel good in their heart. Although Qin Mengyan silently accepted and endured, she still felt that she was Yang Ming's most official girlfriend. At least in Yang Ming's heart, she was the first. Therefore, in any case, Chen Mengyan wouldn't let Yang Ming have the opportunity to do anything. If he wanted to do anything, he would do it with Chen Mengyan. After all, she still had a little dignity in her heart. She had to ensure her first position. However, if she and Yang Ming did something, then what would Lin Jiyun and Zhou Jie do? Would they listen at the side? Chen Mengyan couldn't do such a shameful thing. However, if Yang Ming and Lin Jiyun were to do it, Chen Mengyan's heart would definitely be uncomfortable. If they weren't together, of course, it didn't matter. The key was that everyone was in the same house. Therefore, Chen Mengyan chose such a method, although it was somewhat unfair to Yang Ming. After figuring out the key of the matter, Yang Ming didn't feel any grievances. Instead, he was a little ashamed of ignoring Chen Mengyan's feelings. However, it was nothing. Didn't he still have a little lover? It was just a wall away. Tonight, he directly jumped into little girl Wang's villa. Yang Ming lay in the small bedroom. The master bedroom was given to Chen Mengyan and the others. He couldn't sleep because the scene of the company fire that he saw before kept flashing in his mind. Lin Jiyun's desperate expression and Zheng Lalio's appearance with a gasoline can in his hand. Finally, he was done with his work. He had time to think about his special ability carefully. Yang Ming didn't believe that this was his own illusion, and he didn't believe that this was just a coincidence. An illusion couldn't appear so real. And the most critical problem was that this illusion came true. Moreover, before this, when the brakes of the BMW car were destroyed, there was a similar situation. Why is it? Could it be that I really have the ability to predict the future? But, how can I use this ability? In the past, my abilities were achieved by my own thoughts. In other words, after my brain sent a signal, my special ability would have an effect. Including the ability to see other people's thoughts, although there was a trigger condition, it could only be effective after I concentrated. What about my ability to predict the future? Is it also controlled by my brain signal? Thinking of this, Yang Ming began to experiment. Yang Ming's experimental method was very simple. That was to think about what would happen in a while. Chapter 974. In order to focus his attention, Yang Ming deliberately closed his eyes and began to think hard about what would happen in a while. However, after thinking for a long time, it was all what had happened today. There was no sign of foreseeing the future. Yang Ming was suddenly a little depressed. Could it be that this ability also has a trigger condition? Yang Ming suddenly frowned. This feeling simply made him uncomfortable. It was better not to have it. With this ability, but not knowing how to use it, he could only stare helplessly. His heart was itching, but he couldn't do anything. It was better not to know. What is the trigger condition of this ability? Yang Ming thought hard, but he couldn't figure it out. Because when this ability appeared before, there were no signs, and Yang Ming himself didn't deliberately think about using this ability. Because predicting the future was already very incredible, Yang Ming couldn't think about predicting the future for no reason. He wasn't a prophet or a great immortal. He didn't have such a habit and hobby. It could only be said that this ability appeared by itself. Could it be that this is a passive ability? Thinking of this, Yang Ming's eyes suddenly lit up. Because this wasn't impossible. Yang Ming once played an online game. The skills of the characters in the game were divided into active skills and passive skills. Active skills referred to the skills that could be used by the characters at any time. Passive skills referred to the skills that would only take effect under certain circumstances, and the skills that could be used without the character's control. For example, the character's resurrection on the spot or survival in death skills before death. Wait. Before death. Survival in death. Yang Ming was suddenly shocked. He seemed to have thought of something. That's right, the 2 times the ability of foresight appeared, it only appeared when his life was in danger. The first time was when the brakes of the BMW were destroyed. At that time, Yang Ming wanted to get in the car. If he didn't foresee it in advance, what was waiting for him was the destruction of the car. In his impression last time, the BMW would collide with a big truck, and he would definitely die. The second time was this time. However, this time was a little different. It was when Lin Jiyun was in danger. Could it be that this ability of foresight was also effective on the people around him? However, this was indeed very possible. Special abilities were extremely mysterious. What else couldn't happen? Thinking of this, Yang Ming's heart suddenly brightened up a lot. This was because this guess was the closest to the truth. Perhaps this ability was not foresight but warning. It would only take effect when he or the people around him were in danger. As Yang Ming pondered, he suddenly heard a faint sound coming from outside the window. The sound was not very loud, and it was easy to mix it up with the sound of the wind outside. However, how sharp was Yang Ming's hearing? He immediately recognized that this was not the sound of wind, but a human voice. Yang Ming quietly used his special ability to look outside the window. He saw a petite figure, wearing a black tights, leaping into the courtyard of his villa. Then, she quickly climbed along the rainwater pipe outside the villa to the second floor. Yang Ming smiled slightly. What a familiar figure. If it wasn't Wang Xiaoyan, who was this chick? In the middle of the night, you want to play a night attack with me? Yang Ming smiled helplessly, but he pretended not to notice and still lay on the bed. Sure enough, when Wang Xiaoyan climbed to the second floor, she began to look inside the room one by one. Yang Ming stayed in a side room today. Wang Xiaoyan didn't look at the 2 rooms. She came to the room where Yang Ming was, stuck to the glass, and looked inside. Obviously, Wang Xiaoyan wore a pair of infrared glasses with night vision, and Yang Ming didn't close the curtains, so she could easily see the situation in the room. Yang Ming pretended to be asleep and didn't know. He was still lying on the bed with his eyes closed, and his breathing was even. Wang Xiaoyan observed for a long time, and a smile appeared at the corner of her mouth. Then, she took out a window prying tool from her pocket and slowly reached out to Yang Ming's window. She carefully opened the window. Yang Ming lived in a hurry, and he didn't have a comprehensive anti-theft system for the villa. However, this kind of plastic steel window, except for Wang Xiaoyan using this special tool, the general thief really couldn't pry it open, unless they smashed it, but that was obviously impossible. The sound of smashing the glass was quite loud, and it could directly wake up the people in the villa, so it was more convenient to pry the door open. Wang Xiaoyan opened the window, jumped in from the outside lightly, and then quickly closed the window. Because the tool was special, it could open the window without damaging it. It wouldn't damage the window itself, so after closing the window, there was no difference from before. After Wang Xiaoyan closed the window, she tiptoed to Yang Ming's bed. She slowly stretched out her hand, but she took it back halfway. Wang Xiaoyan looked at Yang Ming's sleeping appearance and thought it was a little funny. She wanted to wake him up, but now, she decided to scare him. Wang Xiaoyan thought about it, and then reached out to pinch Yang Ming's neck. Of course, she didn't want to strangle Yang Ming, but she just wanted to scare Yang Ming. As an assassin, how could he not even have the vigilance that he should have? If he went out to perform a mission, wouldn't he be at the mercy of others? However, before Wang Xiaoyan's hands touched Yang Ming's body, Yang Ming's eyes suddenly opened. Do you want to murder your husband? Yeah. He couldn't sleep for a while. What game? If it is that kind of erotic game, don't look for me. I am not interested for the time being. Wang Xiaoyan was so tired that she was too lazy to move. For the time being. That means other times are fine. Yang Ming caught Wang Xiaoyan's faulty wording and asked with a smirk. Wang Xiaoyan glared at him and was too lazy to answer. Then she turned her face and ignored Yang Ming. Forget it. Let's not talk about this. Seeing that Wang Xiaoyan was indeed tired and lacked sexual interest, Yang Ming also changed the topic and began to talk about business. The game I am talking about is a game to train reflexes. What reflexes? Wang Xiaoyan was somewhat inexplicable after listening. It means that you can kill me in a while. You can use any method and means, and then I will avoid being killed by you. This is to train my reflexes. Yang Ming explained. I kill you. What if you can't avoid it? Wang Xiaoyan felt that Yang Ming was crazy. Why would he train his reflexes? Do you think I can't avoid it? Besides, it's just a game. I don't ask you to really kill me. It's just a simulation. Yang Ming said. Simulation. Do you think this can train any reflexes? Wang Xiaoyan still couldn't figure out what Yang Ming wanted to do. Besides, do you still need to train your reflexes? Can you just do me a favor? Yang Ming's tone softened because this matter was very important to him, and he was very anxious to know the answer. Okay, but I can help you, but you have to promise me a condition. Wang Xiaoyan came over this time to talk to Yang Ming about this matter. What condition? Just say it. Yang Ming nodded. As long as it was not too harsh, Yang Ming would not care about this. First, without my consent, you can't betray my assassin group, and you are not allowed to join other assassin groups. After Wang Xiaoyan went back, she thought about it. She felt that Yang Ming's level of skill should have a wider space for development. How could he always be limited to the small Black Widow assassin group? Therefore, Wang Xiaoyan was afraid that Yang Ming would only stay for 2.5 days. When the novelty was over, he would leave the Black Widow assassin group. In that case, wouldn't her future be uncertain? Therefore, Wang Xiaoyan decided to talk to Yang Ming about a few conditions. Oh, this? Okay, no problem. I agree. Yang Ming agreed without thinking. What else? Are you sure you understand what I said? Wang Xiaoyan saw that Yang Ming agreed so quickly, thinking that he was perfunctory. After all, joining an assassin group couldn't sign any legal contract. Even if it was signed, it probably had no legal effect. I'm sure. Isn't it just not joining other assassin groups? Yang Ming said, I have always been a solo assassin. I haven't joined other assassin groups before. To be honest, if it weren't for you, my little lover, I wouldn't continue to stay here. Okay then. Wang Xiaoyan nodded and continued, the second condition is that if one day I want to marry someone else, what will you do? Marry? Why marry? Yang Ming was stunned. If you are married, what am I doing in your assassin group? Being a light bulb. In just 2 days, Yang Ming had developed some feelings for Wang Xiaoyan. When he heard Wang Xiaoyan say this, he suddenly felt uncomfortable. I mean if. Wang Xiaoyan bit her lips and seemed to muster up a lot of courage to say, would you go against others for me? Oh, you mean snatching the bride? No problem. As long as you are willing to be my lover, I will get you back. Whoever dares to stop me will be killed directly. After Yang Ming listened, he said indifferently. Wang Xiaoyan saw Yang Ming's sloppy look and couldn't help but be a little annoyed. Do you really think I care about you? I just don't want to marry someone I don't know. In contrast, you are just more pleasing to the eye. That's all. However, Wang Xiaoyan was too lazy to explain and continued, what if that person is very powerful? Powerful? Hee, don't worry. I am the king of assassins. Yang Ming said with a laugh. King of assassins. Wang Xiaoyan sweated. You are the king of assassins? I asked you to deal with the apprentice of the king of assassins. Is this guy in the assassin world? Can this kind of joke be made? She shook her head and smiled bitterly. Don't joke. I am serious. I am also serious. Yang Ming patted his chest and said, although I am very humble, if I want to say that I am the second in the world, then only my master is the first in the world. Wang Xiaoyan was speechless. She thought, your master. The student is better than the master. Listening to him, he is the first in the world. I have never seen such a person with such a big face. Chapter 975. Okay, I give in to you. Wang Xiaoyan said with some helplessness, I see that you didn't take it seriously. Just take it as a joke. After Wang Xiaoyan asked the question, she felt a little funny. Although Yang Ming was very powerful, how could he be the opponent of the King of Assassins? The King of Assassins was the #1 figure on the world's assassin list. Even if he was the apprentice of the King of Assassins, he must be very powerful. Therefore, Wang Xiaoyan felt that Yang Ming definitely couldn't be the opponent of the King of Assassins' apprentice. Otherwise, with Yang Ming's skill, he would have been on the assassin list. However, after listening to Yang Ming say that he had been working alone and had not joined any assassin group, Wang Xiaoyan had some expectations. She hoped that Yang Ming was an anomaly that could beat the apprentice of the King of Assassins. Wang Xiaoyan sighed faintly. Some things were destined to be troublesome if one thought too much. It was better not to think about it. There will be a way when the time comes. Let's talk about it when the time comes. Why didn't I take it seriously? Yang Ming said, I am very serious. I don't have any other advantages, but I am very serious about everything, especially feelings. Wang Xiaoyan looked at Yang Ming's boastful appearance. She wanted to say something sarcastic, but she didn't know what to say. She had to say, okay, I got it. Since you have agreed to my conditions, then start your so-called reflexes training. The reason why Yang Ming had said so much before was for this reflexes training. In fact, Yang Ming's meaning was very simple. He asked Wang Xiaoyan to kill him and threaten his life. Then, he would see if the warning special ability would appear. This was also the reason why Yang Ming was so anxious. Yang Ming was thinking about this special ability. If he wanted to test it, he needed Wang Xiaoyan's cooperation, so he agreed to Wang Xiaoyan's conditions so quickly. However, it couldn't be helped. With Yang Ming's skill, others had no lethality to him at all. Only Wang Xiaoyan had a certain threat, so the candidate could only be Wang Xiaoyan. Then let's go. There is nothing to test in this room. Find a secluded place. You hide first and give me a fatal blow. Yang Ming looked around and said. Fatal blow. Aren't you afraid of being killed by me? Wang Xiaoyan teased. Hey, if you're not afraid of becoming a Black Widow, then you can kill me. Yang Ming sneered and touched Wang Xiaoyan's perky butt. Don't touch me. I'm tired. Wang Xiaoyan said lazily, it's all your fault. You didn't remind me before. I screamed so loudly. My throat is so painful. I thought you were feeling good. Yang Ming blinked. Get lost. Wang Xiaoyan was so angry that she lifted her foot and kicked Yang Ming. Anyway, there was no light in the room. It was dark. Although she was not wearing clothes, she was not afraid of being exposed. She scolded Yang Ming in her heart for taking a long time to speak. Maybe he is at the nightless club. Yang Ming thought about it and said, don't worry, little Yen Yen. We will be on the same side in the future. I will tell Bao Sonli to let him go tomorrow. Oh, now is fine too. I don't know if Bao Sanli is sleeping. Thinking of this, Yang Ming directly took out the phone and called Bao Sanli. Bao Sanli answered the phone quickly. Apparently, he hadn't fallen asleep yet. After he picked up the phone, he asked, "Brother Yang, what's the matter?" "Baozi, I want to ask you something. Do you remember that you once caught a guy named Wu Ming? Is this person still there?" Yang Ming asked. "He's not dead, right?" "He is still there. He is locked in the Nightless Club." Bao Sanli quickly said after listening, "Brother Yang, you didn't say anything. We couldn't just deal with him casually. We just sent him some food every day and let him eat it forcibly. Then, we left him alone. However, he has gained a lot of weight these days." Yang Ming broke into a sweat. If Wang Xiaoyan didn't mention this, he would have almost forgotten about this guy. If this continued, he might have to feed this guy for a lifetime. "And, you let him go." "Let him go back," said Yang Ming. "Let him go." Bao Sanli was stunned. "Now? Why? Aren't you at the Nightless Club?" asked Yang Ming. "Yes, it's fine. I'm just a bit puzzled. Why did you suddenly let him go?" Bao Sanli wondered to himself. I have reached an agreement with his boss. Of course, he is one of us in the future. If I don't let him go, I will keep him." Yang Ming explained with a smile. Yang Ming generally wouldn't explain anything to Bao Sanli easily, but he had just killed Wei Dikang today. He was in a good mood, so he explained a few more words to Bao Sanli. However, when Bao Sanli saw that Yang Ming deliberately explained to him, his heart was excited. "Okay, Brother Yang, then I will let him go now." After Bao Sanli finished speaking, he was a little worried. "Brother Yang, what if he doesn't go and wants to kill me instead? You know that guy is very powerful. Even Big Ho is not his opponent. Let's do this. You go to his place in a while and give him the phone. I will let his boss talk to him." Yang Ming thought about it and said, "That's great." As Bao Sanli said this, he took the phone and walked to the room where Wu Ming was locked up. After this period of tempering, Wu Ming had no one to respond to his cries. Except for the regular delivery of food, no one paid attention to him. Therefore, his irritable temper had changed a lot. At this moment, he saw the door open, and Bao Sanli walked in. Although it was a bit strange, he didn't say anything. He just looked at Bao Sanli coldly. "Wu Ming, your boss wants to talk to you." Bao Sanli put the phone on Wu Ming's ear. "My boss? How can my boss call you?" Wu Ming finally said a sentence in surprise. "I don't know. You listen to it yourself." Bao Sanli held the phone and looked like it had nothing to do with him. Wu Ming had no choice but to say to the other side of the phone, "Hello, who are you?" "Wu Ming, they will let you go in a while. You can go back to the headquarters directly." Wang Xiaoyan's voice came from the phone. "Leader." Wu Ming was stunned suddenly. His voice changed instantly. Because he was so surprised, he couldn't figure out why the leader would call Bao Sanli. "And everyone is on the same side in the future. You can go back to the headquarters and wait for me at the headquarters." Wang Xiaoyan instructed Wu Ming. "Ah." Wu Ming looked at Bao Sanli in confusion and said to the phone, "Leader, you mean that Bao Sanli and I are on the same side?" "That's the case. You can talk about the rest when you go back to the headquarters. Don't worry. They won't trouble you anymore," Wang Xiaoyan said. Sure enough, after Wu Ming hung up the phone, Bao Sanli politely untied the rope on him and said, "I'm sorry for this period of time, but I also did things according to the instructions of the higher-ups." Chapter 976. Although Wu Ming was somewhat inexplicable, he had to listen to Wang Xiaoyan's words. He cupped his fist to Bao Sanli and said, I have offended you before. Since the leaders said that they were on the same side in the future, Wu Ming didn't hesitate. Anyway, there was no deep hatred between him and Bao Sanli before. He was just ordered to accept someone else's task. You're welcome. Bao Sanli was a straightforward person, not to mention that he had Yang Ming's instructions, so he laughed and waved his hand. No discord, no concord. Since my boss and your boss have said that we are on the same side in the future, there is no need to go against each other. Wu Ming nodded and knew that Bao Sanli was telling the truth, so he said, then I will go back first. Thank you for the hospitality these days. Bao Sanli was stunned. He thought, is this sarcasm? What hospitality? It is more like imprisonment. However, seeing that Wu Ming's expression was sincere and didn't seem to be lying, Bao Sanli had some doubts, but he also waved his hand. If there is anything wrong, please forgive me. Wu Ming was telling the truth. He could live until now because he really had to thank Bao Sanli for sending him food every day. Otherwise, even if his boss and their boss made peace, he wouldn't live to see this day. So he said, what is there to be sorry about? You and I were enemies before. You didn't kill me and even sent me food. This is already very good. Bao Sanli suddenly realized that Wu Ming was referring to this. Yang Ming and Wang Xiaoyan both climbed out of the window. If they left from the door, Yang Ming was also afraid that Qin Mengyan or Auntie Li would see them in the middle of the night, so the two jumped into the villa's courtyard like thieves. Good skill. Wang Xiaoyan saw that Yang Ming was more agile than her, and she couldn't help but praise. In fact, I should have discovered it long ago. When we were climbing at the temple fair, your skill was very good. Same here. Yang Ming smiled. But at that time, I just thought that you often did sports training. Wang Xiaoyan smiled. How could she not think the same way? Who would have thought that Yang Ming was also an assassin like him? Thinking of this, Wang Xiaoyan shook her head and said, fate is really strange. I didn't expect that the two of us are actually assassins. Hey, what if I wanted to kill you earlier? Kill me? Why would you kill me? Yang Ming asked curiously, didn't you say that you wouldn't kill me because of Zhao Ying? I'm talking about the flowers you sent to Li Yishuan. Wang Xiaoyan said, Yang Ming, if these things hadn't happened in the past 2 days, I don't think I would have been able to bear it. Maybe I would have killed you. Ha! However, Yang Ming laughed indifferently, if you were to kill me, the two of us would probably still end up in the same situation. Do you think you can kill me? That's true. Wang Xiaoyan was stunned, and then nodded. Yang Ming, do you think our assassin group can become the world's #1? This was the second time Wang Xiaoyan said, we. The first time was about Wu Ming, and the second time was now. After Yang Ming guaranteed that he would not leave the assassin group, Wang Xiaoyan indeed regarded Yang Ming as a member of the assassin group, although he had not yet performed any mission. Yes. Yang Ming shrugged. He thought, I am the apprentice of the world's #1 assassin king. Wouldn't I be the world's #1 assassin in the future? Your little girl Wang's Black Widow assassin group is riding on my coattails. However, this Black Widow is really unpleasant to hear. Why does it sound so feminine and not masculine? I am a big man. Why would I be called a Black Widow? Wouldn't it be a joke if it was spread out? So, he said, Little Yen Yen, can we change the name of our assassin group? Why do you want to change the name? Wang Xiaoyan obviously didn't care much about Yang Ming's previous yes. Even Wang Xiaoyan herself wasn't sure that her assassin group could become the world's #1 assassin group. Never mind me, even my family has worked hard for so many years, but didn't they not surpass the king of assassins? This was also the reason why my father was eager to marry me to the apprentice of the King of Assassins. If you want to be the number one, you have to integrate. As long as the apprentice of the King of Assassins also becomes a member of the family, then it can be said that the family becomes the number one assassin world. However, Wang Xiaoyan just didn't want her fate to be arranged by the family like a product, so she was eager to make some achievements. She dreamed of making her assassin group the world's number one assassin group, surpassing her family and even surpassing the King of Assassins. However, all this was just a thought. Wang Xiaoyan also knew that the possibility was not high. But she still had to try because she really didn't have much time. 1/8 of the university life had passed, and there were only 3.5 years left. Change the names so that you can welcome me, the great god, to join you, said Yang Ming shamelessly. Wang Xiaoyan snorted after listening and said, the name is just a code name. There is nothing special about it. Besides, it is not easy for the Black Widow assassin group to achieve the current results. Although we are not very famous, we have some small fame. After changing the name, who will know us? Everything will have to start from the beginning. It doesn't matter. Is the mission not easy to accept? Besides, the missions you took before were all small missions. It doesn't matter if you have this kind of mission or not. There won't be many points reflected on the assassin ranking list. Yang Ming said, I just think that the name Black Widow is not very nice. You are not a widow. How did you come up with such a name? Wang Xiaoyan was silent, but when she thought that Yang Ming was already a member of the assassin group, and he would be her partner, there was no need to hide too much from Yang Ming, so she said, because my father wants to marry me to a person I don't know. I want him to die, so I named it Black Widow. Damn. So vicious. Yang Ming said in his heart, motherfucker, I am the one who is having sex with you now. Aren't you cursing me to die? So he quickly said, then you have to change the name. It is not certain who you will marry in the future. Maybe you will marry me. This name is too depressing. Wang Xiaoyan saw Yang Ming's hopping appearance and suddenly felt a little funny. It turns out that this guy can be so childish sometimes. After thinking about it, Yang Ming is right. It is just a name. Anyway, it is not famous. If it is changed, then it is changed. Well, then what do you think the name should be? Don't call it Tom, Dick, or Harry. Just treat it as a new beginning. I hope our assassin group can go to the next level. Hee, let's call it Black Butterfly. Yang Ming's eyes swept a few times on Wang Xiaoyan's body and said with a smile. Black Butterfly. Why is it called Black Butterfly? Wang Xiaoyan said, do you know that in the list of the world's assassin groups, besides the King of Assassins, the first assassin group after him is the Butterfly Assassin Group? You aren't imitating them, right? Damn, why would I imitate them? What are they? Do you want me to imitate them? Yang Ming shook his head and said, the reason why it is called Black Butterfly is because there is a butterfly tattoo on your butt. I think it is very fun, so it is called Black Butterfly. However, since you said that it is the Butterfly Assassin Group, then we are really called Black Butterfly. We are stronger than them. Ah. When Wang Xiaoyan heard Yang Ming say that Black Butterfly actually meant this, her face suddenly turned red like smoked charcoal. She was shy. Why are you so indecent? The name of the assassin group is very important. How can you give it so casually? It can't be, right? I remember you just said that it is just a name. It doesn't matter what it is called. Yang Ming was surprised. I changed it now. Can't I? Wang Xiaoyan snorted. What kind of broken name is this? I don't agree. It is useless even if you don't agree. It is settled. Yang Ming slammed the table. Tomorrow, I will accept the mission in the name of Black Butterfly through my channels. Wang Xiaoyan suddenly didn't know whether to laugh or cry, but there was no way because if the assassin group wanted to develop, it really couldn't be done without the support of Yang Ming. Yang Ming had his own channels to accept some big missions, which had a great effect on the ranking of the assassin group. Yang Ming insisted on using Black Butterfly to accept the mission, so Wang Xiaoyan could only acquiesce. Forget it. I won't argue with you about this. Black Butterfly is Black Butterfly, but you are not allowed to tell the meaning of this name to others. Wang Xiaoyan compromised, but she added a sentence. Don't worry. I am not so idiotic. If they all want to come and see my little yin-yins, but wouldn't I suffer a loss? Yang Ming smiled. Wang Xiaoyan really didn't know what to do with Yang Ming. The more she came into contact with this person, the more she found that he was shameless. His face was extremely thick. She didn't know what Zhao Ying saw in him. She didn't know that Yang Ming had this personality since high school. Whether it was Chen Mengyan or Zhao Ying, they had long been accustomed to it. Where do you go to train your so-called reaction ability? Wang Xiaoyan put down the co-pilot's seat and lay on it comfortably. When she was with Yang Ming, she didn't have the previous restraint. She was very comfortable with being casual. Wang Xiaoyan didn't regret having that relationship with Yang Ming. As two people were partners, they could encounter any situation in the future. Sleeping together was a common occurrence. If they were awkward and shy, then they didn't need to do any missions. Let's go to the place we went yesterday, West Star Mountain, said Yang Ming. Right, Yang Ming, I forgot to ask you yesterday. Who was the person who ran away? When West Star Mountain was mentioned, Wang Xiaoyan suddenly remembered the person Yang Ming wanted to catch yesterday. Chapter 977. It's nothing. A high school classmate of mine and I have some issues. Yang Ming didn't know Wang Xiaoyan. He didn't know about the recent traffic-haunted case, so he didn't say it in detail. However, Wang Xiaoyan didn't ask much. She just said, I'm sorry about yesterday. You didn't catch him. Forget it. It's nothing. What's the point of catching him? Yang Ming smiled and said, it's better to get the beauty back. Wang Xiaoyan rolled her eyes at Yang Ming. It's so hard to talk to this guy. He's always talking about his profession. It's so annoying. The car drove on the wide road. Maybe because they were walking and chatting, the time passed quickly. It felt faster than when they came yesterday. At least, it didn't feel so boring. Yang Ming still parked the car in the same place as yesterday. He looked at the charming Wang Xiaoyan lying next to him. He couldn't help but say, why don't we review what happened yesterday in the car and do the reaction test again? Yang Ming. Wang Xiaoyan widened her eyes. Aren't you tired? Do you want to kill me? After that, she turned around and ignored Yang Ming. Yang Ming found it funny. He shook his head and said, let's go. Get out of the car. I'm just joking with you. Wang Xiaoyan sat up lazily and got out of the car reluctantly. However, after getting out of the car, the cold wind blew and woke her up a lot. She looked at Yang Ming and said, do we start now? And let's start now. Yang Ming looked at his watch and said, it's 1:30 in the morning. You will come to kill me at 1:40 sharp. You should prepare first, 1:40 sharp. Isn't that giving you time to prepare? What kind of reaction training is this? Wang Xiaoyan raised a question. Yang Ming didn't think too much about it. The reason why Yang Ming said to start after 10 minutes was because Yang Ming wanted to leave 10 minutes for prediction to see if there would be a warning from the ability. He didn't think too much about it, but Wang Xiaoyan caught the loophole. Thus, he said, then after 10 minutes, you can decide for yourself at any time. Wang Xiaoyan nodded and said, okay, then I'll go prepare. After that, she disappeared into the darkness. Although Yang Ming could clearly see Wang Xiaoyan's movements, Yang Ming did not use his ability to investigate. Instead, he stood there quietly with his eyes closed, waiting for the warning ability to appear. According to common sense, if Wang Xiaoyan wanted to assassinate him, then his ability should have appeared. 1 minute, 2 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes. Yang Ming was getting more and more nervous, but the arcana still did not appear. Could it be that his guess was wrong? Were the two appearances of the arcana just accidental? As Yang Ming was thinking about it, Wang Xiaoyan had already started. Yang Ming suddenly felt a sharp wind blowing behind him, and it went straight to his back. Yang Ming didn't dare to neglect. Although little girl Wang's strength wasn't great, it wasn't about whose strength was greater. Assassins were all about skill and the location of the hit. A punch that didn't seem to be heavy hitting the butt and hitting the head were two completely different results. Yang Ming's body leaned to the side and avoided Wang Xiaoyan's blow. Wang Xiaoyan's other blow came again. Yang Ming did not have the mood to deal with it at the moment. He hurriedly jumped to the side and shouted, "Stop." "Okay, I won't test it." Wang Xiaoyan stopped strangely and looked at Yang Ming. "What's wrong? Why did you stop?" Yang Ming sighed helplessly in his heart. The arcana did not give a warning, so there was no need to continue fighting. Yang Ming actually wanted to test the arcana, not the reaction ability at all. "Your speed is too far away from mine. I can't test any reaction ability at all. As soon as you make a move, I can detect it." Yang Ming could only explain it this way. He couldn't tell Wang Xiaoyan that his arcana did not give a warning, right? Wang Xiaoyan listened to Yang Ming's words, but she snorted coldly. "I am not as good as you, okay? Otherwise, I would not ask you to join the Black Widow assassin group. It's the Black Butterfly." Yang Ming corrected her. "Well, it's the Black Butterfly." Wang Xiaoyan repeated helplessly. "Since you think you can't train it like this, then I will shoot you with a gun. Let's see if you can react in advance." "With a gun?" Yang Ming was slightly stunned, and then said, "This is great." "Great?" Wang Xiaoyan was stunned. Is this Yang Ming stupid? Is it great to use a gun? This gun is not a joke. If you don't handle it properly, you will lose your life. He still said that it was great. "And, that's it." Yang Ming nodded and said, "You use a gun." Yang Ming naturally knew the danger of a gun, but in order to determine the existence of the arcana, Yang Ming decided to take a risk. With his own eyesight and reaction speed, it was not easy to avoid a cold shot, but it was still possible to let this shot hit an unimportant part of the body. Wang Xiaoyan saw Yang Ming's determined look, so she couldn't say anything more. She had to say, "Okay, then you wait." Wang Xiaoyan once again found a place to hide, but in fact, it was fine not to hide. After Yang Ming turned around, he didn't look back at all. She didn't know what was wrong with Yang Ming today. Why did he have to do such a crazy thing? Was he crazy? However, since Yang Ming insisted on doing this, Wang Xiaoyan had no choice. After waiting for a while, she slowly raised the lipstick pistol and aimed at Yang Ming. After a long while, Wang Xiaoyan sighed faintly. She really couldn't do it. If it was yesterday, maybe Wang Xiaoyan would really shoot, but now the relationship between the two was different. Wang Xiaoyan was not a cold-blooded animal. It was impossible to put Yang Ming in danger. Wang Xiaoyan was nervous, but Yang Ming was even more nervous. While he was always on guard against the bullets, he was also paying attention to whether there would be a warning in his mind. However, unfortunately, as before, there was nothing special. Yang Ming's mind did not flash any danger signals. Just when Yang Ming was about to be disappointed, he suddenly heard a gunshot. Yang Ming was suddenly shocked. He quickly focused his energy and used his special ability to explore behind him, but he saw a bullet pass by his leg and disappear into the night. Wang Xiaoyan didn't shoot after all. Although she fired a shot, the head of the gun was very low and shot along the edge of Yang Ming's leg. Originally, Wang Xiaoyan did not aim at Yang Ming, so this shot naturally missed. It seems that your reaction ability isn't very good. Wang Xiaoyan also broke out in cold sweat, but her tone pretended to be relaxed. Yang Ming smiled bitterly and shook his head. Failed. The experiment failed. The special ability that I was looking forward to did not appear, and there were no signs at all. Why is this? Yang Ming frowned. He couldn't figure it out. However, now he could only put it aside because if he continued to experiment like this, it was estimated that there would not be any results. The two experiments had failed, so Yang Ming did not intend to experiment again. It seemed that if the special ability did not appear by chance, then his estimation was wrong. The triggering conditions of the special ability were not as simple as he thought. Don't try anymore. Let's go back. Yang Ming sighed and said. I really don't understand you. I don't know what you want to do. Wang Xiaoyan put away the lipstick pistol and said, wasting a bullet costs dozens of yuan. You don't look like you are short of money. Yang Ming replied to her. Wang Xiaoyan smiled. Indeed, this bullet was nothing, but it was not good to leave evidence. Help me find the shell case. Although it is remote here, it is still better to be cautious. Yang Ming nodded. When he was in Macau, he used this lipstick gun to kill several people. Although the two places were thousands of miles apart, it was best not to have any clues that could be linked together, so as not to be implicated unnecessarily. Yang Ming had already determined the direction of the bullet. Now he just needed to follow the place where the bullet passed by with the telescopic special ability. It was not difficult. Soon after Yang Ming had this idea, he had found the shell case. You go and turn on the lights. How can I find it in the dark? Wang Xiaoyan looked around and said with some difficulty. Let's make a bet. If I can find the shell case within a minute, you will promise me one thing. Yang Ming thought about it and said. What is it? Tell me first. Wang Xiaoyan was not stupid. If Yang Ming asked her to die, she would not die. Yang Ming smiled and whispered a few words in Wang Xiaoyan's ear. After Wang Xiaoyan heard it, her face suddenly turned red. She frowned and said, Go to hell. It is so dirty to use your mouth. Want to bet? You have to pay some price. Yang Ming said seriously. There was no lewd expression at all. Then, what if you can't find it within a minute? Wang Xiaoyan thought about it. The possibility of Yang Ming finding the shell case within a minute should be very small, so she asked. If you can't find it, I will do the same. If I lose, I will help you like that. I don't think you are dirty. Yang Ming said with a normal expression. His face was not red and his heart was not beating fast. It was as if he was talking about daily life. Get lost. Wang Xiaoyan was furious. Isn't that you taking advantage of me? Then what do you say? Why don't you say a condition? If I lose, I will listen to you. Yang Ming said. Well, if you can't find the shell case within a minute, Well, you have to listen to me in the future. Wang Xiaoyan said cunningly. If Yang Ming agreed to this condition, it would not be as simple as a condition. It could include hundreds of conditions. Anyway, as long as it is something that I, Wang Xiaoyan, propose, you have to listen. Compared to Yang Ming's condition, Wang Xiaoyan felt that she had a big advantage. Anyway, the possibility of Yang Ming finding the shell case within a minute was almost zero, so why not gamble once? Okay, it's a deal. Yang Ming agreed without thinking. Seeing Yang Ming's happy expression, Wang Xiaoyan was a little confused. The chance of this guy winning is almost zero. Why is he so happy? Could it be that there is a conspiracy in this? Could it be that I was deceived by him? He already has the chance to win. However, it is not right. The bullet was shot out by myself. Yang Ming could not know where the bullet fell. I don't know, let alone Yang Ming. Then what does he mean? Could it be that he deliberately pretended to be indifferent? Today, Yang Ming's behavior was really strange. Wang Xiaoyan couldn't figure it out. From the beginning of the previous reaction training, she was somewhat inexplicable, so at this moment, she was not surprised. Well, then I will give you some time to prepare. When you are ready, tell me, and I will start the timer. Wang Xiaoyan said. Then let's start now. Yang Ming said. Start now. Aren't you going to turn on the car lights and shine it here? Wang Xiaoyan said, I reminded you. Don't find excuses when you lose. Yang Ming suddenly smiled bitterly after listening. Am I that kind of person? This sentence, you have said many times since yesterday. Let's start now. Since you said so, let's start. Wang Xiaoyan took out the mobile phone, opened the stopwatch function, and then pressed the start button. Her mouth also said, start. Yang Ming walked slowly to the front not far away. Even Wang Xiaoyan saw it, and she was a little anxious for him. Does this guy know that he will lose, and he is going to give up? If that was the case, even if she won, Wang Xiaoyan would feel humiliated. It will seem that Yang Ming deliberately lost to her. If it doesn't work, let's just forget about this bet. Yang Ming didn't look normal today. Let's just treat it as him being abnormal. Wang Xiaoyan was about to speak, but she saw that Yang Ming stopped in a place in the distance and bent down. He reached out as if he was picking up something from the ground. Wang Xiaoyan suddenly widened her eyes and stared at Yang Ming without blinking. She saw that Yang Ming stood up again and raised his hand. There seemed to be something metal in his hand that glowed faintly under the moonlight. Found it. Yang Ming waved to Wang Xiaoyan and said excitedly, it hasn't been a minute, right? Did he really find it? Wang Xiaoyan felt that her brain was short-circuited for a moment. How can it be so fast? She looked at the mobile phone in her hand. Only 30 seconds had passed. It really hasn't been a minute. How did you find it? You can't just use a shell to fool me, right? Because Yang Ming found it too fast, Wang Xiaoyan had to suspect that this guy was cheating. I have to tell you in advance that my bullets this time are different from the ones in Macau. I recognize the batch number on it. Don't use the previous shell to fool me. Hee, don't worry. I don't have the time to do that. Yang Ming played with the shell in the air. He walked over to Wang Xiaoyan and handed the shell to Wang Xiaoyan. Chapter 978. Wang Xiaoyan grabbed the bullet shell and began to carefully study the traces of the batch number on it. She studied it for a long time, but she didn't find anything unusual. It really was the bullet that she shot. How did you find it? Wang Xiaoyan was very curious. Although Yang Ming found the bullet, she still didn't believe it. After all, the facts were in front of her. It was difficult to see the road in the dark, let alone find this small bullet shell. In fact, when you just shot, I locked the trajectory of the bullet, so I can calculate the approximate location of the bullet landing. Yang Ming said as if he was telling the truth. Really? Wang Xiaoyan had some doubts, but she didn't completely believe it. After all, Yang Ming was the same as her. He was also an assassin, a very powerful assassin. Although it sounded shocking that he could lock the trajectory of the bullet, it was not impossible. It was true at that time. Otherwise, how could I find it? If I searched a little bit, it would be like looking for a needle in a haystack. Yang Ming explained as he spread his hands. Wang Xiaoyan nodded. She couldn't help but believe it. However, in this bet, it seemed that she had a big advantage, but in fact, she suffered a big loss. She underestimated Yang Ming's strength a little too much. She always put him on the same level as her. She felt that it should be difficult for her to find the bullet, so Yang Ming should be the same. However, she didn't consider that Yang Ming was much more professional than her. You are so powerful. Why do you still need to do reaction training? Wang Xiaoyan was a little angry because she lost the bet. Her tone was not very good. I say, you didn't deliberately come up with such an excuse of reaction training to make a bet with me, right? It was no wonder that Wang Xiaoyan would think so because Yang Ming's behavior tonight was indeed a bit outrageous. Who would do a reaction test with nothing to do? It was just a coincidence. Yang Ming smiled. In fact, this was indeed the case. Seeing Yang Ming's sneaky look, Wang Xiaoyan was angry. She didn't want to talk to him anymore and walked towards the car. It's freezing. Wang Xiaoyan sat in the car and turned on the heater. Where are we going now? Going to your headquarters. Yang Ming also got into the car and put the gear into drive. Okay, I'll tell you how to get there. Wang Xiaoyan nodded and put the previous matter aside. She really didn't understand why this guy's mind was so dirty and had so many dirty thoughts in it. You don't take your lover seriously. Why didn't he look for Chen Mengyan? What Yang Ming did not expect was that Wang Xiaoyan's headquarters was actually located in Shantytown. Although it was on the east side of Shantytown, which was far from Fang Tian and Lin Jian's home, it was still a coincidence. The two assassins were so close to each other. Why set up the headquarters here? It seems to be quite remote. Yang Ming looked around and said. There were only small roads here. The car couldn't come in, so it could only be parked on the side of the road outside. Isn't it good to be remote? A place with a lot of people is full of crooks. It's not good to be seen by people with bad intentions. There are almost no people here at night. Wang Xiaoyan said. That's not it. I just feel that we are a new organization. It's not so comfortable to be in such a dilapidated place. Yang Ming explained. Just put up with it. This place is going to be demolished soon. We will make plans then. Wang Xiaoyan didn't care much. As they talked, the two came to a small door. Wang Xiaoyan knocked on the door according to a certain order. After a while, a voice came from inside. Who are you looking for? It's me. Open the door. Wang Xiaoyan said softly. The small door opened. After a young man saw Wang Xiaoyan, he said respectfully, Leader. Wang Xiaoyan nodded and stepped into the small door. Yang Ming followed behind, but he was stopped by the young man. Leader, let him in. He is a new member of the organization, and he is also my partner. Wang Xiaoyan said. After the young man heard, he no longer stopped them. He let Yang Ming in, and then quickly closed the small door. The courtyard wasn't big, but it was very clean and neat. Following behind Wang Xiaoyan, Yang Ming walked to the main hall. The main hall, which was originally filled with whispers, became silent as Wang Xiaoyan walked in. Yang Ming walked in behind Wang Xiaoyan. Under everyone's puzzled eyes, he sat in the main seat. That was Wang Xiaoyan's seat. Before she could sit down, Yang Ming sat down. She couldn't help but be annoyed. She glared at Yang Ming. Yang Ming didn't care. He smiled and whispered, "Would you like to sit on my lap?" Wang Xiaoyan had no choice but to stand aside. Presumptuous. Who are you? How dare you sit in the leader's seat? At this time, a brother in the organization stood up and pointed at Yang Ming with dissatisfaction. Yang Ming glanced at him and glanced at the people in the hall. He actually saw three familiar figures. One was Wu Ming, who had just been released from Bao Sonli's place, and the other two were He Shu and Feng Dao, whom he met in Hong Kong. Your leader hasn't said anything yet. Who do you think you are? Yang Ming glared at him. I just came here, and you want to show me who's boss. The brother was so angry that he snorted. You stand up, or I won't be polite. I'll explain. It seems that I have to explain it. In the future, the Black Widow Assassin Group will be renamed the Black Butterfly Assassin Group. As for why it is called the Black Butterfly Assassin Group, it is because... See. Yang Ming took a deep breath. He only felt that his back seemed to be pinched by a crab clamp. When he looked back, he saw Wang Xiaoyan glaring at him. Yang Ming smiled and continued, You don't have to know why. What you need to know is that I will be your leader in the future. Yang Ming continued to talk, but Wang Xiaoyan used her hand to pinch him like a crab clamp. He only heard Wang Xiaoyan whisper, If you continue to mess around, the previous bet will not count. Not count. Yang Ming was stunned. Does this little girl Wang mean that it still counts now? Thinking of this, Yang Ming's heart suddenly became active, and he changed the topic. Ugh, of course, I am your deputy leader. Your leader is still her. Next, I will give my seat to her. Wang Xiaoyan looked at Yang Ming, who was acting like a clown. She was helpless. When she saw Yang Ming giving his seat to her, she was a little embarrassed. She shook her head and said, You sit down. Leader, what the hell is going on? The previous brother saw that Wang Xiaoyan did not refute Yang Ming's words, so he was no longer aggressive. He was just a little puzzled. How did this deputy leader come about? Golden Bull, don't be impatient. Listen to me. Wang Xiaoyan put away the previous smile on her face and replaced it with a serious expression. The people in the hall immediately dared not say anything. The man named Golden Bull also sat back and listened carefully to Wang Xiaoyan. This is the new assassin Yang Ming in the organization. I believe that several brothers have already dealt with him. I don't have to say much about his skill. He is better than me. Wang Xiaoyan said faintly, Wu Ming, He Shu, Feng Dao. The three people immediately stood up. For Yang Ming, they had personally dealt with him, so they naturally had no doubts about the leader's words and nodded. However, the others had not dealt with Yang Ming, so they did not take it seriously. In the future, Yang Ming is also one of your leaders. When I am not here, you all have to listen to his dispatch. Wang Xiaoyan instructed everyone. Leader, we all admire you very much, but this Yang Ming, we have not dealt with him. If he wants to be our deputy leader, shouldn't he show his skills to the brothers? The one who spoke was the Golden Bull, and he said with some dissatisfaction. In terms of skill, although Golden Bull was not as good as Wang Xiaoyan, he was also the top in the Black Widow Assassin Group. He was more powerful than Wu Ming and He Shu, so he naturally would not be convinced. Golden Bull. Obviously, Wang Xiaoyan was dissatisfied with his repeated questions. If Yang Ming was not around, it would be fine. However, with Yang Ming around, Wang Xiaoyan suddenly felt that she had lost some face. She let Yang Ming see her as a joke. It's fine, it's fine. Yang Ming stood up with a smile and waved to Wang Xiaoyan. Then he said to Golden Bull, "Brother Golden Bull, right? You tell me. What counts as showing my skills? If you can beat me, our brothers will be convinced by you," said Golden Bull. "You? A group of brothers. Can you represent others?" Yang Ming smiled. However, he also guessed in his heart that this Golden Bull was probably the most powerful among these people. Golden Bull hesitated and looked at everyone. Seeing that everyone nodded, he said, "Everyone has no opinion. Well, then you tell me. How do you want to compete?" Yang Ming knew that these people were much better than ordinary people. It was inevitable that some of them were arrogant. He was a newcomer. If he didn't show off, these people would obey on the surface due to Wang Xiaoyan's pressure, but they would definitely be dissatisfied in their hearts. Therefore, it was better to let these people be convinced. It would save them trouble in the future. There are no rules. It will stop at who loses, said Golden Bull. That's not very good, right? This kind of protracted battle is nonsense for an assassin. Who will continue to let you kill them after failing to kill them? Yang Ming shook his head. Let's do it this way. You attack me 10 times. As long as you hit me once, I will lose. Otherwise, you will lose. 10 times. Everyone was shocked after hearing it. Is it possible to miss once out of 10 times? Golden Bull also thought so, so he said, "This is not fair." Chapter 979. Unfair. Yang Ming was stunned after hearing it. He thought, this kid is quite greedy. I have given you 10 chances, but you don't think it's enough. Forget it. I will give you a few more chances. So, he said, okay, then 20 times. Golden Bull's face was red. He said after a while, I don't mean that this is unfair, then what do you mean? Yang Ming was somewhat inexplicable by his appearance. I mean, 10 times is too much for me. It's unfair to you. Golden Bull explained with a bitter smile, but this guy in front of me is really arrogant. Oh, so that's it. Yang Ming broke into a sweat. It seems that this kid is not so greedy and wretched. So, he waved his hand and said, forget it. 10 times is 10 times. You can attack me. Golden Bull saw that Yang Ming was firm, so he no longer refused. After all, assassins played tricks, not fairness. It was nonsense to talk about fairness in front of an assassin. Wang Xiaoyan disagreed. She had personally fought with Yang Ming yesterday. She couldn't do anything to Yang Ming after so many moves. Yang Ming had been dealing with her like he was playing a game. This Golden Bull was not as good as her. How could he be Yang Ming's opponent? Golden Bull saw Wang Xiaoyan standing by with no expression. He suddenly felt a chill in his heart. Could it be that I was a little impulsive? Indeed, the person recommended by the leader is definitely not an ordinary person. Golden Bull stretched his leg tentatively, wanting to see Yang Ming's reaction, but Yang Ming didn't move at all. Golden Bull didn't know if Yang Ming saw through his intentions or simply didn't bother to respond. Of course, there was another situation. Yang Ming was not an assassin at all, but an ordinary person. He would not respond. However, this situation was impossible. Seeing that Yang Ming didn't move, Golden Bull no longer probed. He simply attacked Yang Ming directly. With a flip of his hand, he cut toward Yang Ming's neck. The neck was one of the most vulnerable parts of the human body. The nerves and acupuncture points on it were more concentrated. Moreover, the cervical vertebrae were more vulnerable to attacks and could be easily broken. Yang Ming shook his head slightly. Golden Bull was courageous, but this kind of brute force was not suitable for killing people at all. It was okay to kill small fries and give a fatal blow when the other party was caught off guard. However, it was much more difficult to kill those who had bodyguards around them. Seeing Yang Ming shake his head, the golden bull was somewhat inexplicable, but seeing that Yang Ming didn't dodge, he was overjoyed. Just as his palm was about to cut Yang Ming's neck, he suddenly couldn't move. Golden Bull realized that Yang Ming had reached out and grabbed his hand, making him unable to move. That's one move. Come again. Yang Ming let go of his hand and said faintly. After the Golden Bull was stunned, he was a little frustrated. He didn't even see how Yang Ming stretched out his hand, and he was caught. Immediately, the Golden Bull understood why the leader admired this person so much. The Golden Bull knew very well that if Yang Ming didn't grab his hand just now, but attacked him at that speed, then he couldn't escape at all. If they were really in a hostile state, then he might have been killed. The Golden Bull was not the kind of person who wanted to renege on a loss. He had a heartfelt admiration for the strong. Since his skills were not as good as others, there was nothing to be ashamed of. So he said, "Don't come again. I am not your opponent." Yang Ming smiled. It seems that this Golden Bull still has some self-awareness. However, in order to avoid these people looking for trouble in the future, he simply said, "Is there anyone else who wants to compete with me? You can do whatever you want today, but I will say the ugly words first. If you have any objections after today, then I will not be merciful." How could these people have any objections? Even the Golden Bull admitted defeat, let alone them. Besides, Wu Ming and He Shu were not weak, but they were not Yang Ming's opponents. Why would they want to add trouble? Since there is no objection, it means that you have accepted me. Yang Ming put away his previous cynical look, and his face became cold. From today onwards, the Black Butterfly Assassin Group is officially established. Our goal is to be the world's #1. Ah! Everyone was shocked. Isn't Yang Ming's goal too ambitious? He actually wants to be the world's #1. Is this possible? However, you people are too weak, so I have made a decision. That is, I will find a place to give you special training for a period of time. Only by improving your strength can you become the world's #1. Yang Ming said mercilessly. Everyone originally thought that they were very good, but now, in front of Yang Ming, they were suddenly weak. These people believed in the worship of the strong, so they did not feel embarrassed when Yang Ming said that to them. Instead, they were more interested in the special training suggestion of Yang Ming. Well, I am here today to recognize the group. I will arrange the special training as soon as possible. Yang Ming said, since I have joined this organization, then I will not allow this organization to be too weak. Of course, you can also have different opinions, but the premise is to defeat me. After that, Yang Ming sat down, but he did not touch the chair. Instead, he touched a warm and soft body. Wang Xiaoyan pushed Yang Ming hard. What are you doing? Don't you have eyes? Wang Xiaoyan was really angry. Otherwise, she would not be angry at Yang Ming in front of a group of people. Can you have eyes on the back of your butt? Yang Ming smiled, stood up and said, how about I sit down, and you sit on me again, then we are even. For the relationship between Yang Ming and Wang Xiaoyan, everyone also saw some clues. Suddenly, they were a little stunned. It turns out that he is the leader's boyfriend. However, the leader was really amazing. She found a boyfriend who was actually an assassin. Of course, this was just what everyone thought. No one dared to say it out loud. Everyone went back to rest. Only Yang Ming and Wang Xiaoyan were left in the main hall. Wang Xiaoyan was sitting on Yang Ming at this moment. She said, why are you so shameless? Do you think it's good to make a fool of me in front of so many people? I didn't do it on purpose. Yang Ming really didn't do it on purpose. It's not good even if you didn't do it on purpose, Wang Xiaoyan said overbearingly. Yang Ming smiled bitterly and touched his chin, letting her do what she wanted. However, this chick was becoming more and more like a girl. She was not as cold as she was before. Little Yan Yan, do you know what you look like now? Yang Ming suddenly asked. What do I look like? Wang Xiaoyan shook her head. Think about it just now in my room, and last night in the car. Yang Ming hinted. Damn. Wang Xiaoyan's face immediately turned red. Sure enough, her actions just now were a bit ambiguous. Fortunately, no one else saw it. Ha 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 ha. Yang Ming laughed and hugged Wang Xiaoyan in his arms. Do you know? I think you are really cute, but sometimes you are fierce. Wang Xiaoyan was in a trance, and her heart trembled slightly. Being with Yang Ming was an unprecedented feeling. Although it was only a short day, it seemed like they had known each other for a long time. This kind of heartbeat and passion was something that she had never felt before. From childhood to adulthood, she had lived for 20 years. This was the first time she had this feeling. Could this be the love between lovers? Wang Xiaoyan shook her head. Maybe it is my own illusion. How can I have love? Moreover, the relationship with Yang Ming is just an agreement relationship of using and being used. I am just his agreement lover, and the reward paid to me is to revitalize and develop the assassin group. Wang Xiaoyan put these thoughts behind her and began to think about business. Yang Ming, you said that you want to give them special training. Is it true? Do you think I'm lying? Yang Ming touched Wang Xiaoyan's hair and said, although these people seem to be enough to deal with ordinary people, our assassin group is to be the world's #1. How can we always deal with ordinary people? So I want to train these people. At least, they can't drag us down. Then, do you have a place to train? Wang Xiaoyan wondered. Yang Ming nodded. I started to train my own people very early, and now, I am going to merge these two groups of people and train them together. Then, aren't you swallowing my assassin group? Said Wang Xiaoyan. Although her tone was questioning Yang Ming, her face was full of smiles. You are mine. Chapter 980. Yang Ming didn't dare to stay outside for too long. Who knew if Yonyan and Sister Lin had the habit of checking the room in the middle of the night? If they couldn't find the key to open the door by force and found that he wasn't at home, he didn't know how serious the consequences would be. After sending Wang Xiaoyan home, Yang Ming went up to his room on the second floor along the same path he came from. Recalling what he had done before, Yang Ming sighed. How could the special ability appear so easily? It seems that my thinking is a bit too simple. However, I have to admit that if I have this special ability, it is still very useful. With the warning of the special ability, I can know whether I or the people around me are in danger, and I can take precautions in advance. And Yang Ming suddenly thought of a very important question. Is Wang Xiaoyan counted as a person around me? In theory, it should be, right? Whether from the perspective of a friend or from the perspective of my woman, Wang Xiaoyan should be a person around me, a person who has a close relationship with me. So, is it because Wang Xiaoyan is also a person around me, so the special ability doesn't have a warning? The special ability doesn't have a warning for things that belong to me or the people around me at the same time. Yang Ming felt that his thoughts were a bit messed up. This is really messed up. Could it be that this special ability was also able to distinguish who was by his side? Who doesn't have malice to me? Wait a minute. Malice. As Yang Ming thought of this, he suddenly seemed to catch some thoughts. Yes, it is malice, or killing intent. Recalling the two things that I have encountered, it only appeared when I or the people around me were really in danger. It can be said that if there was no warning, Lin Jiyun and I probably wouldn't be alive in this world. What Wang Xiaoyan did to him was just an experiment, or rather, a fraud. The two of them agreed in advance. In the end, it was impossible for Wang Xiaoyan to cause any harm to him, let alone kill him. Thinking of this, Yang Ming suddenly realized. That's right, that must be it. The ability's warning would only come into effect when one's life was in danger. It was normal for it not to come into effect in this kind of self-directed situation. Because he wasn't in any danger in the first place. This inference was the most realistic and the most reasonable, but it was impossible to rely on his own experiments. After all, an experiment was still an experiment, and it was impossible to really kill him. Yang Ming thought to himself, it seems that this ability can only be tested the next time I encounter danger. However, there was one more thing that Yang Ming couldn't understand. That was, once at Qin Fei's house, he seemed to have a similar but different scene. That was, he saw the scene of Wang Shifan killing Su Daji. After reading the message verification, Yang Ming began to look at his messages. There was a message that was actually sent by wild female teacher. Yang Ming was excited in his heart. Last time, he guessed that this wild female teacher was probably his sister Zhao Ying, so how could he not be excited? Could it be that Sister Ying couldn't help but send me a love message? Yang Ming thought wretchedly. He quickly opened the message, but there were only 3 words, "Are you there?" Yang Ming just remembered that Zhao Ying still didn't know that there's no true love in this world was him. She probably thought that he was an ordinary netizen that she could talk to. Yang Ming quickly replied, "I'm here. Are you still there?" However, the profile picture of wild female teacher was gray. Yang Ming sighed and closed the QQ dialog box. She probably wasn't online. It was already 2:00 in the middle of the night. Zhao Ying also had to sleep. Just as he was thinking about looking at the book that he just found, so pure, so ambiguous, there was a new message from QQ on the computer. Yang Ming quickly clicked on the chat message. Unfortunately, the one who sent the message wasn't wild female teacher, but Little Fox Fairy. Little Fox Fairy, handsome, you finally added me. I added you for a few days. I'm exhausted. Yang Ming looked at the message sent by Little Fox Fairy. He couldn't help but feel very funny. I'm not online. You can't add me, right? However, if you add me once a day and don't say who you are every day, then I really might ignore you. Just now, a lot of verification rushed together, then I noticed you. However, Yang Ming wasn't familiar with her, and this chick's purpose wasn't too pure. She definitely wanted to learn from him secretly. She wanted him to teach her how to play games. Yang Ming didn't have the leisure to do that. He simply replied, I haven't been online for a few days. Little Fox Fairy's reply was very fast. She came over immediately. It seemed that she only chatted with Yang Ming alone. I see. Are you free? Let's play Bubble Bobble. Yang Ming thought about Sister Zhao Ying. How could he be in the mood to play Bubble Bobble with her? Besides, if it wasn't to coax Huang Lele to play, how could he have the time to play Bubble Bobble? So he said, you go and play with Lele. I'm busy. Little Fox Fairy said, Lele isn't here for a few days. Didn't she go home? Go home. Go back to what home? Yang Ming was stunned and quickly asked, isn't her home in Macau? Go back to what home? Little Fox Fairy sent a few puzzled expressions and said, Lele's home is in Singapore. Don't you know? Aren't you her boyfriend? How come you don't know that she went home? Huang Lele's home was in Singapore. Yang Ming naturally knew, but he really didn't know much about Huang Lele going home. He said with some shame, I was in the mainland for a few days. I didn't contact Lele. When did she leave? Chapter 981. It was very late now. Yang Ming planned to call her tomorrow and ask her. As he was thinking about it, there was a QQ message sound from the computer again. Yang Ming thought that little fox fairy was still wasting time with him. At first glance, he was pleasantly surprised to find that wild female teacher had replied to him. Yang Ming quickly opened the chat window. He didn't expect that Zhao Ying was still online at this time. Wild female teacher, I'm here. Why didn't you go online recently? I haven't seen you for a long time. Yang Ming blushed. I'm so busy that I don't have time to go online. It seems that I have to go online more often in the future and talk to Zhao Ying more. Well, online communication is more advantageous than actual communication. I can carefully analyze Zhao Ying's thoughts before replying. Yang Ming quickly replied to wild female teacher, I went out of town these 2 days. I just came back. Why? Do you have something to ask me? Wild female teacher didn't reply for a long time. Yang Ming was anxious. Did I say something wrong? Yang Ming was now 99% sure that wild female teacher was Zhao Ying. After a while, wild female teacher replied, nothing. I'm not in a good mood today. I want to find someone to talk to. Yang Ming thought that Zhao Ying went offline. He quickly replied, I happen to have time. Talk to me. Wild female teacher was obviously very surprised. She sent a questioning expression, why are you so free today? Yang Ming replied, I can't sleep. I just went online. What's wrong with you? Could it be that you are heartbroken again? Do you need me, a senior emotional expert, to enlighten you? Wild female teacher sent a supercilious expression, you. You seem to be the same. Be careful that your girlfriend runs away. You will cry. Yang Ming didn't expect that teacher Zhao could say such words. He suddenly laughed and replied, don't worry. She won't run away. But didn't you go to the same school with your girlfriend? Why haven't you made any progress? Wild female teacher said, what progress can there be? Right now we are still on holiday, and the school hasn't started. School hasn't started yet. Yang Ming was stunned. Wasn't she a graduate student? Oh, maybe it was because she hadn't started school yet. Yang Ming replied, have you seen him recently? Wild female teacher, I saw it. I saw it this morning. It would have been better if I didn't see it. I'm in a bad mood because I saw it. Why would he be in a bad mood after seeing it? I didn't do anything wrong to her this morning, did I? He even helped her chase away Jean Gang. Yang Ming was a little baffled. You saw it. Why was he still in a bad mood? Wild female teacher paused for a moment and said, I saw him and my best friend were very close together. They were eating a bowl of noodles together, bang. Yang Ming opened his eyes wide and almost jumped out of bed. Holy shit. This wild female teacher was definitely Zhao Ying. However, when did he eat a bowl of noodles with Wang Xiaoyan? Wasn't that after Zhao Ying left? Thinking of this, Yang Ming quickly asked, did you see it with your own eyes? They did it in front of you. Wild female teacher sent a sweat wiping emoji. Of course not in front of them. They said that they had nothing to do with each other. I saw it secretly after I left. Peeping Tom. Yang Ming suddenly sweated. It can't be, right? I was careless when I woke up in the morning, and I actually ended up in such an irrecoverable situation. Zhao Ying actually saw me eating noodles with Wang Xiaoyan. Yang Ming didn't know how to answer, or to exculpate. What Yang Ming didn't expect was that Zhao Ying didn't leave immediately after she left. Instead, she saw something that she shouldn't have seen. However, even if he didn't know how to answer, he had to answer as much as possible. Yang Ming said carefully, maybe their relationship isn't what you think. There is a good saying that what you see isn't necessarily the truth. Wild female teacher sent a wry smile emoji. I'm not angry about their relationship, but not angry about my relationship with Wang Xiaoyan. What is that? Yang Ming felt a little strange and quickly asked, what is that? Wild female teacher said, I just think that I should have known him the longest. You may laugh at me when I say something, but it doesn't matter. Anyway, the internet is illusory. You don't know who I am, so it's okay to tell you. Yang Ming smiled bitterly. You don't know who I am, that's for sure, but I know who you are. However, if you want to tell me something from the truth, how can I refuse? So, he said, yeah, you can say it. Wild female teacher naturally didn't think much, so she said, he actually has a few girlfriends. I'm just a little angry. Why did the people who know him later become his girlfriends, and Yang Ming was shocked. No way. It turns out that Zhao Ying is also an ambitious girl in the new era who advocates the polygamy system. It turns out that Sister Ying actually thinks like this. She doesn't dislike me for having an ambiguous relationship with her good friend, but she dislikes me for not taking action with her. In the beginning, after Yang Ming was rejected by Zhao Ying once, he wasn't sure about Zhao Ying's thoughts. Although judging from Zhao Ying's recent performance, she should like him, Yang Ming didn't dare to act rashly. Who knows if he would hit a wall again. Therefore, this matter had been delayed. Now, since he understood Zhao Ying's true thoughts, it would be wrong not to do anything. Yang Ming pretended to be surprised and replied, no way, you want to be a mistress. Wild female teacher sent a knife emoji. What do you mean by mistress? It sounds so bad. However, although she didn't admit it, she didn't reject it. How could Yang Ming not understand Zhao Ying's meaning? Yang Ming said, then why don't you tell him? Haven't you heard that it's easy for a woman to chase a man? Wild female teacher said, what should I say? Once. I rejected him once. How can I confess? Yang Ming sighed. Timid people are really harmful. If Zhao Ying was more courageous, maybe the two of them would have been together. So, he said, then you just wait for him to confess to you. He has been rejected by you. How can he dare to confess to you again? Wild female teacher replied after a while, I don't know, so I'm in a bad mood, but he should know my feelings. Yang Ming was somewhat helpless. He thought, if I didn't chat with you for a few days, how can I know your real thoughts? I thought you were taking into account the former teacher-student relationship. Yang Ming replied, maybe, he is going to confess to you soon, but this time you won't reject him again, right? Wild female teacher saw Yang Ming's reply. She was angry and amused. Do you think I am a fool? How can the same mistake be made a second time? After Yang Ming saw it, he suddenly laughed. He thought, what I want is for you to say this sentence. If I confess to you and you reject me, that will be called losing face. However, what kind of method should I use to confess to Zhao Ying? If I am too straightforward, I am afraid that Zhao Ying can't accept it. If I am too subtle, I am afraid that she won't understand. This is a very brain-taxing task. Play Fight the Landlord for a while. Yang Ming sent a message. Wild female teacher, I don't want to play. I am not in a good mood. It is so late. You should rest. I am going to sleep. After Yang Ming knew that wild female teacher was Zhao Ying, he didn't feel bored playing games with her and cheating others. However, since Zhao Ying wasn't in the mood, then forget it. Yang Ming replied, okay, good night. Wild female teacher, good night, thank you. After talking to you, my mood is much better. In fact, I didn't say anything from the beginning to the end. It was all Zhao Ying talking. I was just a listener. But this listener was a bit special. After turning off the computer, Yang Ming began to think about Zhao Ying's problem. It seemed that Zhao Ying already knew about his relationship with Wang Xiaoyan. This kind of thing couldn't be hidden. Zhao Ying was very sensitive, and Wang Xiaoyan was her good friend. Zhao Ying was even more sensitive. However, from the current situation, Zhao Ying wasn't very disgusted with him and Wang Xiaoyan being together. She was just brooding about the fact that he didn't confess to her. As he thought about it, he fell asleep in a daze. When he woke up, the sky was already bright. Yang Ming washed his face and went to the hall downstairs of the villa. Chen Mengyan and the others hadn't woken up yet. Yang Ming had nothing to do, so he planned to go out and buy some breakfast. Out of the villa, he started the car and slowly drove out of the community. This area was close to the school, so there should be more people selling breakfast. After driving for a short distance, Yang Ming saw a familiar petite figure not far in front of him. Wang Xiaoyan was running in the morning. This was a habit she had developed for many years. Not long after she ran from home, she heard the sound of a car horn behind her. Wang Xiaoyan was a little annoyed. She had been running along the side of the road. There was a lot of space on the side for a car to pass through. However, she still moved to the side of the road. However, the sound of the car horn didn't stop. It was still Didi. Wang Xiaoyan was about to explode. You still can't pass through. Are you driving a tank or a train? Wang Xiaoyan looked back with dissatisfaction, but she saw that Yang Ming's car was following behind her. She was slightly stunned, then she frowned. What's wrong with you? You kept honking. Can't you speak up if there's something wrong? Yang Ming looked at Wang Xiaoyan's appearance with her hands on her waist. He thought, her temper is really hot. He opened the door of the front passenger seat. Get in the car. Where are you going? I'll drive you. Wang Xiaoyan suddenly had black lines on her head. She looked at Yang Ming and said word by word, I'm running in the morning. Ugh, really? Yang Ming didn't care at all. Then come in and rest for a while. Wang Xiaoyan couldn't help but stop because of Yang Ming, this rascal. She got in the car angrily and slammed the door. You're delaying my exercise. Chapter 982. Let's eat something together. Yang Ming looked at Wang Xiaoyan and said, You haven't eaten breakfast yet, right? I haven't eaten. Wang Xiaoyan shook her head and said, Let's eat the noodles from yesterday. It's delicious. Yang Ming was shocked after listening. Damn, no way. Yesterday, I was seen by Zhao Ying when I ate noodles. If I still eat it today, isn't that looking for death? So he said, let's eat something else today. Although the noodles are delicious, we can't eat it every day. Oh. Wang Xiaoyan didn't think much about it. She would listen to whatever Yang Ming said. She didn't have any special requirements for breakfast. When passing by the roadside newsstand, Yang Ming bought today's newspaper. He wanted to see if there was any news about Wei Dikang's death. Sure enough, on the front page of the Songjiang Morning Post, it reported that Wei Dikang and Zheng Laolu were both killed by a detonator. However, what made Yang Ming feel funny was that he didn't know what channel Bao Sonli had used to spread the news. At the back of the report, there was a very detailed documentary, Dikang Real Estate CEO, Wei Dikang, and his construction company CEO, Zheng Laolu, the story of two men that must be told, now, a lot of documentary literature had lost its original realism and was completely fabricated. In this documentary, Wei Dikang and Zheng Laolu were described as two psychopathic gay men. In order to be together forever, they chose to go to hell together. However, the author of this documentary was really good. It was written so well that even Yang Ming almost believed that this matter was true. Yang Ming smiled and put the newspaper aside. When he looked up, he saw Wang Xiaoyan staring at him coldly. Yang Ming suddenly felt creepy. "Why are you looking at me? Are you interested in Brokeback?" Wang Xiaoyan glanced at the newspaper that Yang Ming had just put down and frowned. "How is it possible?" Yang Ming was stunned and immediately understood. "This chick shouldn't think that I have a psychological problem, right?" "So," he said, "I am interested in you. I'm afraid that you are bisexual." Wang Xiaoyan didn't believe that Yang Ming was gay. She just asked casually. Yang Ming blushed with shame. He drove Wang Xiaoyan to a small alley opposite the school. Breakfast was sold here. There were many simple houses that sold a variety of different foods. "What do you want to eat?" asked Yang Ming. "Let's eat fried dumplings." Yang Ming. It didn't matter what Yang Ming ate. He would just bring some for Chen Mengyan and the others when he went back later. Yang Ming and Wang Xiaoyan came to the Songji fried dumplings. Although the decoration inside was very simple, it was still clean. There were a few people who looked like students sitting at another table. They were eating fried dumplings and chatting about something. Yang Ming and Wang Xiaoyan picked a clean table and sat down. Then, they asked the boss for 20 fried dumplings. Not long after they sat down, before the fried dumplings were served, Yang Ming's phone rang. Yang Ming frowned and took out his phone. Who would call so early? Looking at the caller ID, it was actually Bao Sonli. Yang Ming's heart suddenly tightened. Bao Sonli generally wouldn't call so early unless there was something important. Yesterday, Yang Ming was at Dikang Real Estate. Although he was very careful and didn't leave any traces, he was still too impulsive. Yang Ming was also afraid that someone would find something. "Hello." Yang Ming picked up the phone. "What's the matter?" "Brother Yang, something went wrong." Bao Sonli's voice was a bit low. Apparently, his mood wasn't very good. "What's wrong?" Yang Ming's heart sank and asked. "It's about Dikang Real Estate." Bao Sonli said, "I just received the news. Wei Dikang made a will before he died. If he had any accidents, the company's shares and other legacies would all be left to his son, Wei Jin." Yang Ming listened to what Bao Sonli said and breathed a sigh of relief. If he couldn't get Dikang Real Estate, he didn't need to force it. Yang Ming didn't lack the money. In other words, the transfer agreement in our hands is likely to be invalid? Asked Yang Ming. You can say that. Bao Sonli said, even if it is possible to win this lawsuit, if we take out this transfer agreement now, we will be looking for trouble. Yang Ming nodded after listening. This was indeed the case. If there was no Wei Dikang's will, then this transfer agreement could still be operated, but now Wei Dikang had a will first. If he took out this agreement, others would definitely doubt where this agreement came from, which would be disadvantageous to him. Thinking of this, Yang Ming said, then let's put this matter aside first. Okay, Brother Yang. Bao Sonli hung up the phone. Yang Ming hung up the phone and glanced at Wang Xiaoyan, but Wang Xiaoyan was expressionless. It seemed that she was not interested in the content of Yang Ming's previous phone call. Yang Ming didn't need to hide this from Wang Xiaoyan. Anyway, the two people now had similar identities. Even if Wang Xiaoyan knew that he killed the two scums last night, she probably wouldn't have much of a reaction. In contrast, Wang Xiaoyan was more interested in the fried dumplings on the table. While eating the fried dumplings, Yang Ming called Huang Lele, but there was a beep on the phone that the phone was turned off. Yang Ming was a little worried. If it was normal for Huang Lele to not turn on her phone. After all, she was always on the plane and couldn't turn on her phone. But yesterday, didn't little fox fairy say that she had gone to Singapore? Shouldn't she turn on her phone at home? However, although Yang Ming was anxious, he couldn't help it. After all, he was in Songjiang, not in Macau. He didn't know why Huang Lele was anxious to go home. After eating a few fried dumplings with Wang Xiaoyan, he bought some for Chen Mengyan and the others. When the two came out of the fried dumpling shop, Wang Xiaoyan suddenly had a strange feeling. The two didn't seem to be partners, but a couple. Wang Xiaoyan shook her head with a wry smile. As she was about to get in the car, she heard a voice calling her name behind her, Wang Xiaoyan. Hearing this voice, Wang Xiaoyan was a little helpless. She turned her head and saw a man in his 30s coming to this side. He said as he walked, "Wang Xiaoyan, are you here for breakfast?" "Coach Li." Wang Xiaoyan nodded perfunctorily. She didn't want to say anything more and was ready to get in the car. "Why? Are you in a hurry to leave?" Coach Li turned his head and glanced at the BMW next to Wang Xiaoyan and Yang Ming in the driver's seat. He suddenly frowned. He had been plotting against Wang Xiaoyan for a long time, and he had done a detailed investigation. He learned that Wang Xiaoyan not only did not have a boyfriend, but her parents were not around. She was the perfect target for him. Li Diding was the coach of the mayor's running team. When Wang Xiaoyan was in high school, he knew Wang Xiaoyan. At that time, Wang Xiaoyan represented the school to participate in a high school sports meet organized by the Municipal Sports Committee. At that time, the physical education teacher of Wang Xiaoyan's school invited Li Diding to be Wang Xiaoyan's coach. In the beginning, Li Diding's performance was very upright, but as time passed, his beastly side gradually revealed itself. Every time after training, he always found an excuse to invite Wang Xiaoyan to drink or eat. In the beginning, Wang Xiaoyan went twice out of courtesy, but later, Li Diding began to make moves on her. Wang Xiaoyan also understood his purpose. What kind of person was Wang Xiaoyan? How could she let Li Diding take advantage of her? After a few times, Li Diding's heart was even more itchy. He began to ask Wang Xiaoyan to go to his house to give her private tutoring. After Wang Xiaoyan refused, Li Diding still did not give up. He used to have a few female high school students who practiced long-distance running, but their looks were not complimentary. Some of them even took the initiative to seduce him. But Wang Xiaoyan, who was charming and had a good figure, how could Li Diding not be moved? The more he couldn't get it, the more Li Diding's heart was scratching. Through a friend, he investigated Wang Xiaoyan's student file and found that Wang Xiaoyan lived alone in Songjiang. When her parents were not around, Li Diding suddenly felt that there was an opportunity. If it really didn't work, he would use force. She probably couldn't do anything to him afterward. After Wang Xiaoyan went to college, Li Diding originally planned to take advantage of the spring sports meet of the next semester to wait for the opportunity to get close to Wang Xiaoyan. He didn't expect to meet her here. There was a boy beside her, which made Li Diding very uncomfortable. "Wang Xiaoyan, how is it? After going to college, did you relax your training?" Li Diding said sanctimoniously, looking very concerned. "I'm not a full-time athlete. Long-distance running is just a hobby. There is no need to train so hard." Wang Xiaoyan responded. "That's not good." Li Diding pretended to be regretful. "In my opinion, you are a good seedling. Maybe you can become a world champion in the future. Let me see if your leg muscles have softened." As Li Diding said, he touched Wang Xiaoyan's leg with concern. Yang Ming was so angry. Who the fuck are you? You just want to touch my wife. Do you want to die? He stepped on the accelerator pedal. Bang, Li Diding was hit by the butt of Yang Ming's car and sat on the ground. How the fuck do you know how to drive? Li Diding was furious. He stood up angrily and ran to the driver's seat of Yang Ming's car. He pointed at Yang Ming and scolded. Oh. Why? Did I hit you? Yang Ming said innocently, sorry, I didn't see it. I'm such a big person standing there. How can you not see it? I think you are fucking intentional. Li Diding saw Yang Ming pretending to be stupid, and he was even more annoyed. Which school are you from? Tell me. I must find someone to expel you. Li Diding specialized in helping various schools train athletes. He had a good relationship with the leaders of various schools, so he was so arrogant. Chapter 983. Were you standing just now? Yang Ming wondered. I just looked. There was no one behind the car. Li Diding was suddenly embarrassed. I wasn't standing just now, but I squatted down and was ready to touch Wang Xiaoyan's thigh. Who knew that at this time, Yang Ming suddenly reversed the car. Although Li Diding could be sure that Yang Ming must have done it deliberately, there was no way to argue about this. I really squatted down. If Yang Ming reversed the car at that moment, then he really couldn't see me. If this matter was made public, and others asked me why I squatted down, then it would be even worse. Could I say that I wanted to touch Wang Xiaoyan's thigh? Moreover, he was only knocked down. It wasn't a big deal. At most, his butt hurt a lot, but it didn't hurt his bones. After hesitating for a moment, he coldly snorted and said, forget it, I won't argue with you. Fortunately, I'm in sports. If it were someone with a weak body, they would have broken their legs. Oh, if I hit you, then it would be troublesome. Yang Ming said after listening to Li Diding's words, but, are you sure you were hit by me? Are you trying to blackmail me? Yang Ming's suspicious expression made Li Diding really helpless. He snorted and didn't bother to argue with him. He turned around and said to Wang Xiaoyan, don't give up training. You are a good seedling. I am optimistic about you. Okay, Coach Li. Wang Xiaoyan resisted laughing. This Yang Ming is really bad. He hit me, but he still made me unable to reason. This Li Diding is really unlucky to meet him. And then I will go first. Li Diding was also sulking. He didn't want to continue to take advantage of Wang Xiaoyan. However, he still said very resentfully, Wang Xiaoyan, your friend's driving skills are not very good. For your safety, you should not sit in his car. Yang Ming was upset when he heard it. Is this old pervert not done yet? He stuck out his head and said, hey, man, I am going to reverse again. You should stay away. If I hit you again this time, it can only mean that you are blind. Li Diding glared at Yang Ming fiercely, but he couldn't help it. He couldn't pull Yang Ming out in public, right? Moreover, he saw that Yang Ming's car was a BMW. He knew that this student's family background, so he didn't dare to blatantly go against him. He had to move aside. After watching Wang Xiaoyan get in the car, Li Diding cursed his bad luck. Yang Ming, you are really bad. Aren't you afraid of hitting him to death? Wang Xiaoyan saw that Li Diding was teased by Yang Ming, and her heart was very happy. This Li Diding, if he didn't give her some tips in the competition, Wang Xiaoyan would have already been rude to him. It was easy to play some tricks on his way to work every day. This Li Diding was a real talent, but he was a bit lecherous. As long as Wang Xiaoyan saw that he didn't do anything particularly excessive, she didn't do anything to him. Anyway, he didn't take advantage of her. However, now that she had taught him a lesson through Yang Ming, Wang Xiaoyan was naturally very happy. Hee, it is impossible to hit him to death. I have a good sense of propriety. Yang Ming smiled and said, I am sure that this old pervert doesn't dare to make a sound. He wants to touch your thigh, so he has to pay the price. Wang Xiaoyan shook her head amusedly. Yang Ming was really interesting sometimes. In fact, it was easy for him to kill Li Diding, but Yang Ming didn't do that. Instead, he used other means to teach Li Diding a little lesson, and let Li Diding suffer. I was a long-distance running coach in high school. He was always lecherous to me. I hate him. Wang Xiaoyan explained. She didn't know why. In fact, Yang Ming didn't ask, so she didn't have to explain. I know. With your vision, how could you like him? Yang Ming nodded and said, if you want to look, you should be looking at me. You are more annoying than him. Wang Xiaoyan glared at Yang Ming. But no matter how annoying it is, don't I still want to touch it? Yang Ming smiled cheekily and wiped his hand on Wang Xiaoyan's thigh, causing Wang Xiaoyan to roll her eyes. Wei Jin stared blankly as his father's lawyer described the property owned by his father to him. Although it was not clear how his father died, the property in his father's hands would be transferred to his own hands. How did my father die? Wei Jin signed the receipt document of the property and asked with a sad expression. The lawyer shrugged and said, I'm not very clear about this, but according to my friends in the police station, the preliminary detection results at the scene found that Zheng Laolu lit the fuse of the detonator, and then the detonator exploded, killing 2 people together. Zheng Laolu killed my father. Why? Wei Jin didn't believe it. Didn't Zheng Laolu always listen to his father? How did the 2 of them die together? Young Master Wei, I'm just a lawyer, not a detective. I don't know the specific reasons, but today's newspaper published a lot of gossip about Mr. Wei and Zheng Laolu, said the lawyer. News about my father. Where is it? Let me see. Wei Jin immediately said anxiously after hearing it. This is a morning newspaper I bought on the way here. Take a look at it yourself. The lawyer took the newspaper out of his handbag and handed it to Wei Jin. Wei Jin took the newspaper and read the news on it. At the beginning of the news, there was nothing. It just reported that there was an explosion in the Dikang building last night. Wei Dikang, the chairman of Dikang Real Estate, and Zheng Laolu, the general manager of a subordinate construction company, were both killed. The cause of death was the detonator explosion. However, the documentary literature behind it was a bit outrageous. It described in detail the grievances between Wei Dikang and Zheng Laolu. I bought some fried dumplings in the dining room. You can go and eat after you wash your faces. Yang Ming said with a smile. Hey, it's not easy. Yang Ming, you can still buy us breakfast. Chen Mengyan was a little surprised that Yang Ming would actually do such a thing. I can go out and please 3 people together. Only a fool wouldn't do this kind of thing. Yang Ming smiled slyly after listening. After Chen Mengyan heard it, she questioned, so what you mean is that when there is only one person, you won't buy it? Yang Ming didn't expect Chen Mengyan to catch his faulty wording. He smiled and didn't answer. He changed the topic. I went to the company with Xiyun today. Yesterday, the company was on fire. I have to deal with the aftermath. Chen Mengyan didn't say anything. She was just joking with Yang Ming. She didn't want to force Yang Ming too much. Otherwise, if Yang Ming really said that he didn't buy it, then she, as the big sister, would lose face in front of Sister Lin and Jia. Yang Ming returned to the room and carefully checked the bed. He erased all the evidence about Wang Xiaoyan on it. Otherwise, it would be troublesome if Chen Mengyan, the little vinegar jar, found it. Both of them had a fiery temper, and little girl Wang was more fiery than Qin Mengyan. Yang Ming was afraid that she would kill Qin Mengyan if she was unhappy. Then, he would be fucked up. Although the project fee this time was not much, and he really didn't want to collect it, he was afraid that Bao Sanli would get used to taking advantage of him in the future. If Bao Sanli didn't give him money every time, then he wouldn't be able to bear it. So, he said, well, since President Bao wants to give, then I won't be polite. Including the materials and the overtime pay of the brothers, President Bao can give 150,000 yuan. I won't make money. Okay, I'll write you a check for $200,000 later. Ho Jinhan said after listening, President Niu, you have been following me all night. You can't not take a penny. 50,000 yuan is your hard work fee. Ho Jinhan also checked the quality of the project. Normally, this 150,000 yuan was simply the cost price, and the other party worked through the night. He couldn't treat the other party badly. Ho Jinhan was not a person who bullied others because of this small amount of money. If Yang Ming knew that he bullied others, he wouldn't spare him. Indeed, Bao Sanli and Ho Jinhan owned the largest security company in Songjiang. In terms of strength, no one was an opponent, but that was not to deal with these ordinary people. Ho Jinhan would not be soft-hearted to those who thought that they bullied the weak and feared the strong. Thank you, President Ho. President Niu quickly thanked him. The 150,000 yuan just now was indeed the cost price. The budget was relatively tight, but now there was 200,000 yuan, which was not bad. However, this was only a small amount of money for President Niu's tens of millions of net worth. It was nothing compared to the tens of millions of debt outside. President Niu, we are almost done here. Take the brothers back to rest. This is a check for 200,000 yuan. Ho Jinhan signed a check for 200,000 yuan with the checkbook he carried with him and handed it to President Niu. Okay, President Ho, President Bao, then I will go first. If there is anything, just call me directly. President Niu said quickly. President Niu's prediction was indeed correct. The news in the business world spread the fastest because businessmen must have a keen sense of smell to be able to see every business opportunity. The news that President Niu had a good relationship with Bao Sanli and Ho Jinhan quickly spread. Of course, this was also deliberately arranged by President Niu. However, President Niu did not expect it to come so quickly. Shortly after President Niu returned to the office, he was calculating the cost of materials for yesterday's project. The secretary knocked on the door and came in. President Niu, President Qin of Hongxi Real Estate is here. He wants to see you. President Qin. What is President Qin doing here? Isn't the person he doesn't want to see the most? President Niu said, let him in. President Qin owed President Niu 3 million for the project, and it was delayed for more than half a year. During this time, President Niu urged him countless times. President Qin kept saying that he had no money, but he saw him driving a Mercedes-Benz to various entertainment venues. Although President Niu knew that President Qin wanted to renege on the debt, he couldn't help it. In the current world, the one who owes money is the boss. Moreover, President Chen's brother-in-law was said to be in the Construction Quality Supervision Brigade. He could manage President Niu, so President Niu couldn't force him too much. Although he paid back hundreds of thousands, there was still more than 2 million yuan. It had been more than half a year, and there was still no news. He didn't expect President Chen to take the initiative to visit. The reason why President Niu was puzzled was that the news of his good relationship with Bao Sanli and Ho Jinhan had just been released. No one should know yet, so he didn't think that President Qin came because of the news. The purpose of his trip should not be to repay the debt. Not long after, there was a knock on the door of the office. President Niu, President Chen is here. Please come in, said President Niu. The door of the office was pushed open. President Chin of Hongxi Real Estate walked in with a smile. Brother Nyo, I haven't seen you for a long time. I miss you. President Nyo was stunned. Did President Chin drink too much? He usually avoids me. Why would he miss me? Could it be that he wants to play tricks on me again? However, the one who owes money is the boss. President Nyo quickly stood up and greeted him politely. President Chin, welcome. Brother Nyo, aren't you slapping your younger brother's face? When President Chin saw President Nyo personally greet him, he quickly said in fear and trepidation, Brother Nyo, sit down. Sit down. After ordering the secretary to pour tea, President Nyo and President Chin sat side by side on the sofa. President Chin smiled and said, President Nyo, I have good news to share with you this time. What good news? Thank you for thinking of me. President Nyo said without batting an eyelid. It's like this. There is a big project. It is a contracted project in the city. Although the profit is not much, the project is big. I can't do it alone. So, I found you, President Nyo. President Chin said with a smile. President Nyo thought, it's here. It's finally here. I knew that nothing good would come from this kid. This kind of public project is indeed profitable, but the money will not be paid to President Nyo in the end, but to President Chin who contracted it. If President Chin said that he had not received the project payment, then wouldn't he have done it for nothing? Thank you, Brother Chin, for your kindness. My company is small, and the cash flow is not good. I can't handle this kind of big project. President Nyo said with some difficulty, also, the previous project payment, President Chin, Brother Nyo, look at my memory. I came this time to return the money to you. As President Chin said, he quickly opened his briefcase and took out a check that had already been written. He handed it to President Nyo and said, Brother Nyo, this is 3 million. The previous project payment. I always forget. I hope that Brother Nyo doesn't mind. 3 million. President Nyo was stunned. Didn't I return a part of it? There should be more than 4 million left, right? This is the case. Although I returned a part of it before, I have been in arrears for so long. Even if I put it in the bank, there will be interest. The previous amount will be considered as interest, said President Chin quickly. President Nyo frowned. What happened to President Chin? Could it be that he was sleepy? Not only did he return my money, but he also gave me interest. No, there must be a problem. President Nyo suddenly thought of something. Could it be that he was giving him a small benefit and then deceiving him again? Thinking of this, President Nyo suddenly felt that it was very possible. President Chin came this time to discuss the contracting project with him. President Nyo still understood the strength of Hongxi Real Estate. Although it was not as big as Dekang Real Estate, it still had the ability to contract a project. How could it not be done? There was definitely a problem here. President Nyo frowned. President Chin wouldn't be so kind. Not only did he return the project payment, but he also introduced the project to him. Thank you, President Chin. President Nyo accepted the check without hesitation. No matter what, I will take the money first. As for the project, go to hell. However, our company is small. We still can't handle that big project. President Nyo, if you are really short on funds, then it doesn't matter. Anyway, I will pay a part of the project payment in advance. I will first calculate your brother Nyo's share from it. I will take less of the advance payment. My company still has the ability to pay first. President Chin said with a smile. Is there such a good thing? President Nyo was stunned suddenly. What the hell is going on? He didn't believe it. President Chin, are you serious? Are you kidding me? President Nyo, what is your identity now? Who dares to joke with you? President Chin quickly shook his head and said, Brother Bao and you called each other brothers. Your big brother's meteoric rise is just around the corner. When the time comes, don't forget your little brother. President Nyo suddenly realized after listening to President Chen's words. It turned out that President Chin came because he received this news. He couldn't help but smile bitterly in his heart. This Bao Sonli's name is really big. This President Chin is afraid that I will retaliate when I become powerful in the future, so he rushed to show his goodwill early in the morning. However, President Nyo still said very humbly, President Bao and I are just business friends. President Chin thought, of course, I know that you are business friends. Could it be that you are brothers in the underworld? However, who knows what kind of luck you have? President Bao feels that you are a person who is loyal and a friend, so he supports you. Brother Nyo, you are too modest. President Chen said with a smile, if there is no problem, this matter is settled. To be honest, I don't have the confidence to undertake such a big project. I can't guarantee that some people will be jealous and come to make trouble. But this time, with you, Brother Nyo, and Brother Bao's friends, I guess those rascals won't dare to act recklessly. President Nyo heard President Chin mention Bao Sonli and understood why he was so attentive. He didn't have any conspiracy, but he just came to show his goodwill. However, it was estimated that his reason was also a reason. If Bao Sonli participated in the project, then who would dare to come and make trouble? However, that also required Bao Sonli's participation, so he said, President Chin, I heard that Brother Bao also wants to set up a real estate development company. Can you let him participate in this project? Just treat it as a test. That's great. President Chin was worried that he couldn't build a relationship. If President Nyo could pull Bao Sonli, then wouldn't President Chin be Brother Bao's friend in the future? Thinking of this, President Chin began to get excited. He secretly thought that he was really wise to come this time. Then, Brother Nyo, I will leave this matter to you. With the participation of Brother Bao, our project is in the bag. I guess there will be no competition with us. As the two people were talking, there was a knock on the door of the office. President Nyo smiled apologetically to President Chen and said, Please come in. The person who came in was still President Nyo's secretary. After the secretary put down the tea for the two people, she said, President Nyo, President Zhang of Xinhui Building is downstairs. He wants to see you. This time, President Nyo didn't feel that there was anything strange. President Zhang also owed him more than 2 million yuan, and he hadn't paid it back yet. He probably came to pay back the money at this moment. Let him wait for a while. President Nyo smiled and waved his hand. With President Chin in front of him, President Nyo also had confidence in his heart and began to put on airs. After such a long time, it was finally his turn to hold his head high. In the past, when President Nyo went to ask for money, he would beg his grandpa and grandma, but he wouldn't get it back. Now, these people took the initiative to line up to give money. President Chin also knew this President Zhang. He knew that he also owed President Nyo money. He was a little amused in his heart. Most probably, he also rushed to pay back the money. However, they were also the pot calling the kettle black. They were the same. However, President Chin was very fortunate that he was well informed. It seemed that he was the first to arrive, so he could talk so much with President Nyo. He estimated that the people behind would be overwhelmed. President Nyo, I won't disturb your reception. I hope President Nyo can take care of that matter. President Chin referred to Bao Sonli's matter. Don't worry, President Chin. Leave it to me. President Nyo also knew that Bao Sonli wanted to set up a real estate development company by himself, but he wasn't familiar with the route, so he just had to do a favor at this moment. After President Chen left, sure enough, President Zhang, President Liu, President Yu, and President Xia all came to pay back the money and build a relationship. However, President Niu was annoyed with dealing with them, so he sent them away with a few words. These people looked at President Chen, who came out of President Niu's office with a happy face, and they were envious. They hated that they weren't the first to come. After Yang Ming roughly checked the situation of the jewelry company, he was relieved to leave with bows only. Lin Jiyun and Zhao Cixi entered the company and started a new busy day. After Valentine's Day, the turnover of the jewelry company had obviously declined. Although there were counters in major shopping malls, sometimes it was normal for some counters not to sell goods for a day. Sitting in the office, Lin Jiyun frowned. The idea of using Shuya for promotion was proposed by Yang Ming. It did make the jewelry company's sales surge for a while, and it successfully defeated the competitors. But now, especially in the off-season, it was difficult to increase the turnover. Lin Jiyun and Zhao Cixi also had a few meetings to study it, but there was no good way. Jiyun, when I browsed the web last night, I suddenly had a new inspiration. Maybe it will improve our performance. Zhao Cixi found Lin Jiyun and said excitedly. Oh. What inspiration? Lin Jiyun asked quickly. The company's performance was also a headache for her these days. Now, isn't it popular to DIY? DIY gourmet food, DIY computers, and even some household items can be DIY. We can also launch a DIY. Zhao Cixi said excitedly. Our DIY? What do you mean? Lin Jiyun asked, puzzled. Our DIY is a DIY wedding ring. Zhao Cixi said with a smile. I also had a sudden idea. Now most of the marriage partners are young people after the 80s. Although they are not as unique as us after the 90s, they are not people who like to follow the rules. We young people, which one of us likes to be the same as others? Especially for a big event like marriage, the same wedding ring always feels that there is no novelty. If our wedding ring can be DIY, then it can attract a large number of young people. They can choose the size of the diamond that they are satisfied with and the shape of the ring that they are satisfied with. Then, according to their finger size, we can customize a unique wedding ring for them on the spot. Don't you think it will attract a lot of people? Ah! Lin Jiyun listened to Zhao Cixi's idea and couldn't help but exclaim, Cixi, this idea is really good. How did you come up with it? Indeed, marriage is a big event in life. Many people only get married once in their life, so they are willing to spend money on it. We are doing the high-end route, so even if the cost of DIY is higher, it will attract a lot of young men and women who want to get married. Yeah, I think so too. No matter how the wedding ring is chosen, it is made by others. Zhao Cixi said with a smile, in this way, it is equivalent to DIY according to their intentions. Moreover, we can also carve the name or date on the inner side of the ring according to their intentions to keep it as a permanent memorial. Lin Jiyun nodded excitedly after listening. Cixi, you are really amazing. I think this will definitely work. Let's have a meeting to study it in a while. It is great that you also agree. I was afraid that I was whimsical. It could be seen that Zhao Cixi was also very happy. After Zhao Cixi finished speaking, she went to prepare. After Lin Jiyun was excited, she was a little depressed. She and Zhao Cixi entered the company together. Both of their positions were the same. They were both deputy general managers, and their identities were the same. They were both college students. However, Zhao Cixi actually thought of a very wonderful way to solve the problem that had troubled everyone for a long time. Lin Jiyun was at a loss. There were too many things that she had to learn. Lin Jiyun felt that the gap between her and others wasn't just a little bit, but a lot. She didn't want to be just a decoration, a vase that looked good at home. that was all. She wanted to help Yang Ming, to do something for him, and to share some of his burdens. However, no matter how hard she tried, she felt that there was still a gap between her and others. However, this also had a lot to do with the environment she grew up in. It wasn't that Lin Jian's qualifications weren't as good as others. Zhao Cici's father was in advertising creativity, and now he was also in investment analysis. Under the influence of this environment, Zhao Cici's inspiration naturally came faster. Lin Jiyun, on the other hand, had never been exposed to these before she went to college. In addition to studying in school, she did housework as much as she could. It had nothing to do with business. How long had it been since she entered the company? How could she catch up with Zhao Cici all of a sudden? Not to mention those employees who had many years of social experience. Lin Jiyun ignored these. Chapter 985. Zhou Jiejia's mother came to visit Zhou Jiejia today. The relationship between Yang Ming and President Hua wasn't very good. Although it eased later, President Hua was overbearing. She called him to the car and wanted to give him a sum of money to leave Zhou Jiejia. Yang Ming was very uncomfortable in his heart. Therefore, if he could not see her, he would try not to. Only Chen Mengyan and Zhou Jiejia were left in the villa waiting for President Hua. Yang Ming returned to his home alone. Mother Yang returned to the community's property work downstairs, but she was no longer a temporary worker. Instead, she was the deputy property manager. Although she didn't care about anything, it was still a stable job. Mother Yang also understood that if Yang Dehai didn't become the chairman of Ming Yang Heavy Industry, the people in this community wouldn't please her so much. However, now that the family's money was spent, she had an easy job every day. It was very carefree. When Yang Ming returned home, Mother Yang had just gone to work. The two met in the corridor. Big Ming, why are you home at this time? I want to go out for dinner with a friend in the evening. I am going to choose a gift for her from the things I brought back from Macau. Yang Ming said. Friend? Could it be a girl? Mother Yang frowned. Now, her son had several girlfriends. Although it couldn't be said to be a bad thing, it was definitely not a good thing, so Mother Yang still had to interfere. It's a girl, but it's teacher Zhao Ying. You know her too. She used to give me tutoring when I was in high school. How could Yang Ming not know what his mother meant? When she heard that it was teacher Zhao Ying, Mother Yang breathed a sigh of relief. A teacher and student can't be in a relationship. She was relieved and said, Miss Zhao helped you a lot at that time. You should bring more gifts. Also, go to a high-end restaurant to eat. Don't be afraid to spend money. If it's not enough, you can get it from Mom. After Mother Yang finished speaking, she suddenly smiled bitterly. Does Yang Ming still need to ask for money from me now? However, out of habit, she still said it. Got it, Mom. You should go to work. Otherwise, it won't be good if others see you late. Yang Ming smiled. You child, you even know that it's not good for others to see you. Mother Yang smiled and said, Then I'm leaving. You can go upstairs by yourself. Recently, his mother's complexion had obviously improved a lot. Even his father was the same. Although his father's work was very tiring, he was very motivated. This made Yang Ming feel very gratified. No matter how much money he earned, it was useless. The most important thing was that the people around him were happy. As for his parents' unwillingness to leave here and live in a big villa, Yang Ming no longer persuaded them. His parents had their own way of life. They were used to living here. Moreover, the people who lived in this courtyard were basically the employees of Ming Yang Heavy Industry. They worked very close to each other. The only shortcoming was that the size of the house was small. However, this was not a shortcoming. As long as his parents felt that it was enough, it was fine. When Yang Ming returned home, he began to prepare a gift for Zhao Ying. When he was in Macau, Yang Ming bought gifts casually. There was no fixed item that he had to give to anyone. It was nothing more than a thought. Therefore, he bought a lot of cosmetics, perfume, and so on. However, if he wanted to give it to Zhao Ying, he had to put in some effort. Before, he didn't know Zhao Ying's feelings, so it was fine. He could just give one casually. Now, he knew Zhao Ying's feelings, so he couldn't just give it casually. If he wanted to give something, he had to give a meaningful gift. It was best to give a hint so that Zhao Ying could understand his feelings. In fact, Yang Ming was also very conflicted. If he directly went to Zhao Ying to confess, not only would it be too abrupt, but he couldn't guarantee that Zhao Ying would reject him again. This girl was indecisive about things. She was always overcautious. Yang Ming was afraid that Zhao Ying would reject him again. Not only would he be embarrassed, but he wouldn't be able to confess again in the future. Therefore, to be on the safe side, Yang Ming wanted to give Zhao Ying something. It would be best if it could represent his feelings. This thing was really difficult to choose. If it was too straightforward, it would be no different from a direct confession. If it was too subtle, he was afraid that Zhao Ying wouldn't understand. Yang Ming stared at a lot of cosmetics and perfume for a long time. He couldn't give a hint to these things. It seemed that he could only choose another gift. Yang Ming simply took a set of cosmetics and perfume that were suitable for Zhao Ying's age and put them in a bag. Then, he went out of the house. He was going to go to the mall again to choose a suitable gift. Yang Ming went downstairs. When he passed by the community property, he was going to go in and say hello to his mother and tell her that he was leaving first. So, Yang Ming pushed open the door of the property and walked inside. The people in the property basically knew Yang Ming, but he was just the son of a temporary worker. Now, he was the son of the deputy manager. The most important thing was that he was the young master of the chairman of Ming Yang Heavy Industry. Therefore, those uncles and aunties who didn't care about Yang Ming before greeted him warmly when they saw Yang Ming. "Big Ming, you are here. Auntie hasn't seen you for a long time, right?" Yang Ming didn't feel that there was anything wrong with it. After all, these people didn't need to please him in the past, but now the situation was different. This was also human nature. These people were different from relatives. They were just ordinary colleagues of his mother. They didn't have a deep relationship with his mother, so there was nothing wrong with sucking up to her. However, Yang Ming was most annoyed by those relatives. When his family wasn't rich, those people couldn't wait to avoid him. Now that it was better, they came to him. "Auntie Zhang." Yang Ming nodded to the middle-aged woman who was talking to him and greeted her. Auntie Zhang immediately smiled. "Big Ming, Auntie Zhang has an apple here. Do you want to eat it?" Yang Ming was speechless when he heard it. "Do you think I'm a kindergarten child?" But, he still smiled on the surface. "No need. I'm looking for my mother." "Manager, there is a guest. It seems to be a relative of your family. He is inside." Auntie Zhang pointed to the door of the deputy manager's office. "Relative?" Yang Ming was stunned. Why did a relative come when I was just thinking about it? However, what kind of relative could my family have? Most of the relatives on my mother's side were in the countryside, and they were doing well. There weren't many contacts. The relatives on my father's side now had their own careers. Who would come? Yang Ming knocked on the door with some doubts. His mother's voice came from inside. "Who is it?" "Mom, it's me. Big Ming." Yang Ming replied. "Big Ming, come in." Mother Yang heard Yang Ming's voice and said quickly. Yang Ming pushed the door and walked in, but he saw a familiar middle-aged man sitting opposite his mother's desk and talking about something. This is Big Ming, right? Come, let fifth uncle take a look. You have grown so tall. You are almost as tall as my kid. The middle-aged man didn't wait for Yang Ming to speak. He stood up and took Yang Ming's hand as if he was familiar with him. He looked at him up and down. You are. Yang Ming was suddenly inexplicable. He couldn't remember who the person in front of him was. I am your fifth uncle, you lousy. The middle-aged man explained, when you were a child, I even held you. From Dayu village, oh. Yang Ming suddenly realized that Dayu village was his mother's hometown. This man was probably one of the distant relatives in the village. No wonder he felt familiar, but he had never seen him before. Although he didn't know what this guy was going to do, Yang Ming still said out of politeness, Hello, fifth uncle. I heard from your mother that you are a college student. Very good, very good. Not bad. You are much better than my bastard kid. Fifth uncle said with a smile, your cousin is also as tall as you. He is also very tall. I think you two can hit it off. I don't understand the language of your generation. What Martian language, non-mainstream language? Yang Ming suddenly felt a chill. Who the fuck is Martian non-mainstream? I am very normal. I am not brainless. However, on the surface, he still nodded with a smile. Before figuring out the intentions of this guy, Yang Ming decided to leave some face for his mother. Of course, if this guy wants to borrow money, it depends on his mother. If his mother doesn't want to lend, then Yang Ming doesn't mind personally sending this fifth uncle out of nowhere. Fifth uncle, I am not non-mainstream. Yang Ming explained. Oh, if you are not, then you are not. Anyway, I don't understand. My bastard kid doesn't learn good things all day long. It makes me so angry. Fifth uncle said, Well, I am talking to your mother. I want to bring your cousin to the city to see the world so that he can take over my job in the future. Otherwise, I am really worried. See the world. Take over. Not borrow money. Yang Ming was stunned. He didn't understand the meaning of fifth uncle. Seeing Yang Ming's doubts, Mother Yang explained, Big Ming, this is the case. Your fifth uncle is a rural entrepreneur in the village. He has a breeding base, but your cousin is disappointing. He drinks and plays cards with some bad friends all day long. Your fifth uncle doesn't listen to him. Your fifth uncle heard that your father is the chairman here, so he came. He wants your cousin to go to your father's company to learn and get rid of those bad habits. Yeah, isn't this what we are talking about? Fifth uncle said, I heard that big companies train people. I don't want his bastard to come here to suffer. Otherwise, how can he take over my job in the future? Yang Ming understood this time. His fifth uncle didn't seem to be short of money, but he didn't teach his son well. His son, who was his fifth cousin, was probably a kind of village bully. He didn't do good things all day long. However, where did fifth uncle hear this from? Big enterprises train people? Big companies aren't shelters. They want just anyone. If he came, wouldn't that be adding to the trouble? Especially since they were relatives of the same family, they couldn't expel them either. It was really difficult. Chapter 986. Mother Yang glanced at Yang Ming and looked at fifth uncle again. She said, I can't decide on this matter. Although Brother Dahai is the chairman, he can't decide on his own, I know this. I know. Fifth uncle said, I also know that big enterprises are not like my small farm. They can appoint people by favoritism. I also know that this matter is difficult, but if it isn't difficult, how can I ask you? Sister Sume, please think of a way. Yang Ming didn't expect that fifth uncle would make such a strange request. He didn't come to borrow money, nor did he come to do things. He just made a request that seemed easy but gave him a headache. Fifth uncle, let me say a few words about this. Yang Ming saw that his mother was in a dilemma, so he couldn't help but speak up. Oh, okay. You are right. Big Ming, you are a college student. You are more cultured and knowledgeable than us. What you said must make sense. Fifth uncle nodded quickly. Yang Ming saw the honest look of fifth uncle. The disgust in his heart disappeared. If his request wasn't more troublesome, Yang Ming would have already agreed to him. Fifth uncle, you say, if fifth cousin went to work in your farm now, what kind of situation would it be? Yang Ming didn't say it directly, but he asked fifth uncle a question first. This. Fifth uncle hesitated and said, if I let that brat go, that brat will definitely be like a fisherman for 2 days and a fisherman for 3 days. Relying on the fact that I am his father, he will do whatever he wants. No one dares to stop him even if he skips work. If he goes, it is equivalent to adding trouble to me. It is better not to ask him to go, so that's the case. Yang Ming smiled and continued to ask, fifth uncle, do you think we are relatives? Of course, why wouldn't it be? If we weren't relatives, I wouldn't ask you to come. Fifth uncle nodded and said, Sister Sume and my wife were best friends when they were young. That's not the case. Yang Ming shook his head and said, fifth uncle, think about it. If fifth cousin goes to your farm, he will definitely be sloppy. If he comes to my father's company, won't he also be sloppy? He'll think that since it's a relative's company, no one will dare to say anything bad about him. Yeah. Fifth uncle slapped his thigh and frowned. He said helplessly, why didn't I think of this? Big Ming is right. After going around in circles, that bastard must be the same. In Brother Dahai's company, he still has to rely on the fact that he's a relative of the chairman to intimidate others. Although Yang Ming's mother understood that what Yang Ming said was reasonable, most of it was to help her refuse this fifth uncle. She also understood that relatives and fathers were two different concepts. Even if this fifth cousin was flamboyant, he could clearly distinguish the difference between them. Because you are the young master of the farm, people may respect you and please you. They don't dare to do anything to you, and they don't dare to control you. But if you come here, you're just a distant relative of the chairman. If you really can't do it, no one will care about your face. This was the difference between a large group and a small family business. However, fifth uncle couldn't understand the truth, but he still thought so. He still needs to be a college student. Look at how thorough his analysis is. Fifth uncle, it's not that I don't want to help. Big Ming has also analyzed the reason for you. You see, if it takes a lot of effort to get your son into the company, but he's still like that, wouldn't it be a waste of effort? That's right. Fifth uncle shook his head. What should I do? Seeing fifth uncle's appearance, Mother Yang couldn't bear it, so she said, how about this? Fifth uncle, I will call old Yang and ask if he has any familiar companies. I will see if I can arrange someone to go in. Isn't that fine? Yeah, if that can be done, it would be great. Fifth uncle said happily after listening. Yang Ming smiled bitterly. Mom is still too soft-hearted. Isn't this equivalent to agreeing? Forget it. Yang Ming sighed. Anyway, this favor was promised by his mother. He had to help, so he said, Mom, I have a friend. I will call him and let fifth cousin go to his place. After Yang Ming finished speaking, he gave his mother a look. Mother Yang didn't know what Yang Ming meant, but she also said, that's fine. You can call and ask. The reason why Yang Ming did this was because if his father asked others, wasn't it also a favor? If others had similar things to trouble him, he couldn't not help. So Yang Ming might as well take this job and put it in Bao Sanli and Ho Junhan's company. In any case, it was a company opened by his own subordinates. Even if there were complaints, they couldn't do anything about it. They just had to put up with it. Yang Ming didn't want to trouble his father. After Yang Ming finished, he called Ho Junhan and asked him to help arrange a relative to enter the company. Yang Ming also said very clearly that the relative was going to study and exercise. The position could be arranged casually. Anyway, he wouldn't stay for long. For Yang Ming's instructions, Ho Junhan naturally agreed without hesitation. After Yang Ming finished the call, he smiled bitterly. It seemed to be the second time that he called Ho Junhan to arrange someone to enter the company. The first time was Jing Xiaolu. I don't know how she is doing. I hope that her outlook on life can change. Being someone's mistress isn't a very lucrative career. Although there were many women around Yang Ming wouldn't admit that any of them was a mistress. Each of them was Yang Ming's love, although it was a bit universal. Done. Yang Ming hung up the phone and said to Fifth Uncle, you can ask Fifth Cousin to come to me directly. I have arranged the other things. The college student is so powerful. His friends are at the level of the company's CEO. Fifth Uncle praised enviously, it would be great if my little brat could have this level. Sister Sume, I'll take my leave first. Thank you so much for this. Fifth Uncle, stay at noon. Come to my house for a meal before you leave. Mother Yang politely asked him to stay. No, I can't leave the place. Fifth Uncle said, I will go back now. Big Ming, you send your fifth uncle out. Mother Yang instructed. Yang Ming nodded and sent Fifth Uncle out of the door. When they came to the entrance of the property, Fifth Uncle got on an Audi A6. Yang Ming didn't expect that Fifth Uncle was really a rich man. However, with an insensible son, this matter was troublesome enough. Thinking of Fifth Uncle's experience, Yang Ming couldn't help but think of himself a year ago. At that time, wasn't he similar to Fifth Cousin? Fifth Cousin was a village tyrant, and Yang Ming was a school tyrant. He was fighting all day long, skipping classes and playing billiards. He wasn't much better than Fifth Cousin. Thinking of this, Yang Ming's sympathy for Fifth Uncle increased. I can pick myself up again. Of course, it is related to the special ability, but it can't be separated from the help of Zhao Ying and Qin Mengyan. These two are the most important women in my life. Like his true love, Suya, these two people are also very significant to me. Zhao Ying. Thinking of Zhao Ying, Yang Ming's heart sighed slightly. It is God's will, so that the two men and women who were easy to each other can't come together now. Big Ming, I am leaving. You go back. If you have time, come back to Dayu village. Fifth Uncle will entertain you. After Fifth Uncle got in the car, he opened the window and said to Yang Ming. And, Fifth Uncle, be careful on the road. Yang Ming nodded to Fifth Uncle and then returned to the property company. Entering his mother's office, Mother Yang saw Yang Ming and couldn't help but sigh. Big Ming, you don't blame me for making a decision, right? I just thought that your fifth uncle is very pitiful, so I agreed. Will it cause any trouble for your friend? It's okay. Yang Ming smiled and said in his heart, they are my men. What trouble do I have? You are sensible now. I heard that your fifth cousin still doesn't have a proper business. He only knows how to eat, drink, and play all day. Your fifth uncle is anxious. Mother Yang said, a young man in his 20s is still not sensible. Mom, I will handle this matter. Yang Ming waved his hand. Even if this matter shouldn't be agreed, since his mother agreed, he could only think of a way to do it safely. He couldn't complain about his mother's approach, right? And I also know what you mean. You don't want your father to owe you a favor. Chapter 987. The environment makes a person. Although this was not entirely true, it also had a certain truth. Yang Ming left the property company, got in the car, and drove to the commercial street. This matter was temporarily thrown to the back of his mind. It wasn't a big deal. However, after the fifth cousin left, would he still be as sloppy as before? It was not something that Yang Ming could predict. He could only rely on himself. After all, Yang Ming was not a savior who could manage everything. As for Wei Dikang's property company, it was fine if he couldn't get it. There was nothing to regret. Anyway, Yang Ming was not short of money. He just had no experience in the industry. The car slowly drove out of the community and headed in the direction of the commercial street. To be honest, Yang Ming was not a romantic person. He had no experience in buying gifts for girls. With girls, it was completely natural. As for the confession, it was also a very direct kind. It was the first time that he used gifts to express his feelings. The car was parked in the parking lot near the commercial street. Yang Ming decided to start shopping from the streets of the commercial street. This kind of thing was generally rare in big shopping malls. Instead, the small gift shops on the street would have similar things. There were many gift shops on the roadside, and the patterns were complicated. Yang Ming picked a shop that looked good and went in. The reason why he chose this shop was that the other shops had signs such as, "Imported gifts from XX country." Yang Ming despised it for a while. This was to deceive people who didn't understand. Most of the light industrial products in the world were produced domestically and exported. These people imported them back to fool ignorant people. It was not the peak period for customers, so there were not many people in the shop. After Yang Ming walked in, a waiter greeted him and asked Yang Ming, "Sir, do you want to choose a gift?" Yes. Yang Ming nodded. "What gift do you want to choose?" The waiter smiled and said, "Is it for a friend's birthday or for a lover?" Ugh. Yang Ming couldn't answer. What is Xiaoying? She is not a lover. She is not a friend. My gift is not right. Sir, do you want to give it to a girl you like, but you haven't been together yet? The waiter received a lot of customers every day. She knew the hearts and needs of these customers very well. When she saw Yang Ming's hesitation, she understood. Yeah. Yang Ming scratched his head and nodded. He didn't know how to describe it, but the waiter said it first. "Oh, then I'll take the liberty to ask, to what extent have you progressed with the girl you like?" The waiter continued to ask, "Do you just know each other, or have you reached the point where there is only a window paper? It should be the third kind." Yang Ming didn't hide it. After all, he was asking for help now. He didn't understand it himself. Naturally, he had to be more detailed so that others could find the right solution. Otherwise, if he didn't report it, the waiter couldn't help him choose a gift. So he said, "Actually, things are like this. I like a girl. I thought that she also had that kind of feeling for me. However, I hinted to her once, but I was rejected. Later, after more contact, I felt that she still liked me. I also confirmed this from the mouths of others. It seems that the girl is also waiting for me to confess again." I understand what you mean, sir. The waiter smiled and nodded. "You mean to say that you want to confess to her again, but you are afraid that she will reject you again, so you want to buy a gift to express your love for her subtly, right?" Yang Ming nodded quickly. He thought, "This waiter is amazing. She can compete with me. I can see through other people's thoughts, but she can see through my thoughts. The girl you are talking about should belong to the kind of person who has a lot of worries, but is somewhat indecisive. Because of being overcautious, if you confess to her directly, it is likely that she will be caught off guard, so she will reject you. The waiter continued, but, through this kind of subtle way of expressing your love, the success rate will be higher. In other words, even if she rejects you again, you don't have to admit it. There's still another chance, right? Yes. Yang Ming nodded and gave a thumbs up. Your analysis is really good. It is much better than me thinking hard. What gift can be suitable for me? In fact, there are many gifts to express love subtly. However, according to your situation, I think this thing is the most suitable for you. As the waiter said this, she took a small box from the shelf and said, "This. What is this?" Yang Ming took the small box and opened it. He glanced at it. It was something like a Christmas tree. There were a bunch of small signs hanging on it, but the workmanship was very exquisite. This thing is called a memory tree. The waiter introduced, "Look at this. There is nothing special on the surface. It is just a Christmas-shaped decoration, but look here. It can be opened." As the waiter said this, he carefully opened each small sign on the memory tree. There was a place to write inside like a message book. "Can I leave a message here?" Yang Ming looked at the memory tree and said in surprise. Yes, the reason why this memory tree is called a memory tree is because you can write a lot of beautiful memories in it. The waiter introduced, for example, the process of your acquaintance or some meaningful and important events can be briefly written inside. Then, after closing it, you can give it to your beloved. When you give it to her, you cannot tell her the secret inside and wait for her to discover it herself. Oh. Yang Ming nodded in agreement. This is a good thing. It can also develop Zhao Ying's initiative and exploration spirit. Not bad, not bad. How much is this? I will take this. This is 130 yuan. After the discount, it is 98 yuan, said the waiter. Yang Ming heard that the price was not very expensive. It was really worth the money. The key was that the waiter's previous analysis was much more valuable than 98 yuan. If it weren't for her, Yang Ming wouldn't know what to give Zhao Ying. Okay, where do I pay? Yang Ming nodded and expressed satisfaction. Sir, you can come with me. The waiter led Yang Ming to the cashier. Thank you. If it weren't for you, I wouldn't know what to do. Yang Ming said sincerely. Pfft. Ha 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 ha. A girl's laughter came over. Yang Ming quickly turned his head and saw that not far from the cashier, a girl was choosing a gift. The laughter came from her, and she was actually Jing Xiaolu. Without thinking, he knew that she must be laughing at him because she was the only customer in this store except for him. Looking at her blushing face, it was obvious that she had been holding it in for a long time. Yang Ming was so angry that he couldn't help but glare at her. He said snappily, "What are you laughing at?" "Nothing." Jing Xiaolu covered her mouth. Her eyes were full of laughter. Yang Ming, I really didn't expect that you would have a time when you can't get a girl. Some people are throwing themselves at you, but you don't want them. Don't talk nonsense. Yang Ming was embarrassed. There were outsiders around. Yang Ming felt very awkward. I'm not talking nonsense. Jing Xiaolu giggled. How about you confess to me? I will be your mistress. Nonsense. Yang Ming glared at her and said helplessly, You are doing your job well. Why do you want to be my mistress? You are still young, but you don't learn well. What are you doing? You are acting like an old man. Jing Xiaolu rolled her eyes at Yang Ming charmingly. It's as if you are old. You are still my classmate. This Jing Xiaolu was now dressed as a white-collared secretary. She was unspeakably charming. She was completely different from the original non-mainstream delinquent girl. It made Yang Ming's mind couldn't help but think of the office AV scene. Okay. Yang Ming shook his head and didn't dare to think about it anymore. You are not going to work. What are you doing here? I'm on vacation today. Jing Xiaolu smiled. You introduced the job for me. Don't you know? The company has a series of vacations. Really? Yang Ming really didn't know. Oh, then you go shopping. I will go first. Wait a minute, aren't you worried about chasing a girl? I can help you with it. Jing Xiaolu grabbed Yang Ming and didn't let him leave. What are you doing? Men and women shouldn't be so close. Yang Ming said with a sweat. I didn't say anything. Why are you being so shy? Jing Xiaolu said indifferently. You know how to give advice. Yang Ming looked at Jing Xiaolu curiously. Jing Xiaolu smiled slightly. I am also a girl. Naturally, I understand a girl's psychology. Although the shop assistant just told you the use of this gift, she didn't say the timing and method of giving it. If you want to give it away after giving it away, or if you want to take the opportunity to push it away, you have to ask me. I am very experienced. You? Are you serious? Yang Ming was a little moved by Jing Xiaolu's words. After all, these words were in Yang Ming's heart. It was what Yang Ming was most eager to know now. If you don't believe it, then forget it. Jing Xiaolu shook her head. Just pretend that I didn't say it. You wait. Yang Ming stopped Jing Xiaolu. Anyway, it didn't matter if he listened. If he felt that it was useful, then he would learn. If he felt that it was useless, then he would just ignore it. He didn't lose anything, so he said, then, let's hear it. Do you think I'm an idiot? It's not easy for me to take a day off. I still have to go shopping. But if someone pays for it, I'll reluctantly give him some pointers. Jing Xiaolu stretched and said lazily.